What a beautiful picture. Now, the Dolly Parton song comes to mind when I hear Jolene.
Jolene, Jolene.
Did that have any impact on your naming her?
It was because of that song. Something's not right. Jolene's not answering. Not hearing from Jolene on Mother's Day? On her birthday?
She started doing her little Houdini acts. And I thought she was just singing somebody else.
Urgent search for a missing mother in Nassau County.
What do you think happened to Joe? Well, she's hanging out with these bad dudes, bad crowd.
Sounds like she had trouble with figuring out men.
She did. First thought was the boyfriend, had done something.
And this is your opportunity here to clear your name, and you're acting like this jackass.
I said I had nothing to do with Jolene being missing. I love her. I miss her.
At some point, Jolene confides in you some thoughts, some suspicions.
It is the actual moment where we perceived we are looking at something more sinister. Who is that figure that walks across in the darkness?
You can see them walk around the building just as I did, and then they go ahead and enter the building.
No one had any idea how truly unhinged that she was.
When I saw the video, hair on the back of my neck stand up moment.
Nestled on the tip of Amelia Island sits North Florida's Fernandina Beach. With its shrimp boats bobbing in the harbor next to oak-shaded streets, both tourists and locals come to savor the island life.
I would describe Fernandina Beach as a small area that a lot of people come to visit. It's very welcoming.
It's kind of like a hippie beach town. We have a shrimp drop where we have a big lit up shrimp, and they drop it just like they do New Year's at the ball with the ball. You have all the pirate ships. There's even Pippi Longstocking's houses down in Old Town.
That house was made famous in the 1988 film The New Adventures of Pippi Longstocking, based on the children's book.
Hello. Come on, Pippi.
Our crime rate in Nassau County is very low when you compare to our surrounding areas.
But on Mother's Day in May of 2018, Jolene Cummings, a single mom of 3, never arrives to pick up her children from her ex-husband, Jason Cummings. Evening is now falling over northern Florida, and Jolene's 2 young sons are waiting in a grocery store parking lot with their dad. The minutes tick by, but their mom never arrives to pick them up.
And it was her birthday, and it was Mother's Day weekend. She always wanted to spend that time with her kids.
What were her plans as far as you knew?
It would have been the first time that she would have been able to celebrate Mother's Day and her birthday with the boys, and she would be at my house.
Why in the world would this mom suddenly disappear on such a big day? Those close to her say that as a young, working, single mother, Jolene would often feel overwhelmed and take off, making time for herself. Might she have just gone off and done something without telling you?
Has Jolene gone off in the past? Oh, yes. Have I been able to contact her? Yes.
Did you have a feeling?
Yeah, not hearing from Jolene on Mother's Day, on her birthday. Yes, I had this gut-wrenching feeling all day. And I told my husband, I need to call this in. He said, no, Aunt, wait till tomorrow. So at 8 o'clock on Monday morning, I called.
8:08 a.m., Ann Johnson contacted the sheriff's office and reported that her adult daughter, Jolene Cummings, was missing. She stated that no one had heard from Jolene for at least 2 days. I was named the lead investigator on this case. It was urgent to me from the start. While it's certainly not uncommon for an adult to, go missing or take off for a couple of days, there were some things that really concerned Miss Johnson about it.
Her daughter would have spent Saturday at the Tangles hair salon where she had worked for 6 years.
So Tangles is a salon that's right on the edge of Yulee and Fernandina Beach. It's in a shopping center. There are multiple chairs, multiple stylists working there, day in and day out.
Hi, ladies. Deborah.
I'm Brittany.
Brittany, nice to meet you.
I'm Jill.
Hey, Jill.
Nice
to meet you.
She was my hairdresser. That's how we met.
Somebody said that she was kind of a hairapist.
Yeah.
Like a therapist, but doing hair.
Yeah, absolutely, because she would always give you the best advice.
Now, what was she like as a mom? Because on the one hand, she had this creative career, but then she was also a pretty young mom.
She was there to support them. I think she grew up and she didn't get to do the things that other kids got to do sometimes. So she really wanted to make sure her daughter did everything that she didn't get to do.
Those boys and her daughter were just the love of her life. The place that she was living in was my brother-in-law's. It wasn't the best, but she was saving to move.
I wanted to go to Jolene's home to find out where she lived and to, see if there were any clues there, anything there that might give me an idea where she might be. Jolene's stepfather gave me access to the home. When I went inside, there were cabinets that were hanging by one hinge. It appeared as if somebody had actually punched and kicked holes in the wall. This evidence was very worrisome for a person who's gone missing.
It's clearly a disturbing and suspicious scene, and there's one person investigators want to talk to, Jolene's ex-husband, Jason Cummings.
Anytime someone goes missing, you have a list of people that you probably want to talk to. Exes are always at the top of that list.
Jason and Jolene had somewhat of a rocky relationship.
There was an injunction in place between Jolene and her ex-husband, a no violence injunction that said there'd be no violence between the two individuals. Jason he made it obvious that it was contentious about custody of kids, that the court had not decided yet.
Texts between the former couple reveal a volatile relationship, with Jolene once writing, "These kids have seen and heard enough," and Jason responding, "See you in court, Jolene." And in another text, Jason writes, "I hate you, and tomorrow you will hate me. I promise that."
They still had an amicable relationship. They worked together for the love of the children.
We wanted to talk to him, see if he knows anything, knows about where she may be or has seen her.
I made contact with Jason Cummings via phone. I scheduled him to come in the next morning to do an interview at the sheriff's office.
It's now Tuesday, 2 days since Jolene was last seen, and her ex-husband, Jason Cummings, is sitting in the Nassau County Sheriff's Office with Detective Harrington.
She is my ex-wife. I love her. I mean, she's my kid's mom.
Telling him how Jolene's happy exterior hid a darker side of her personality.
She's angry most of the time, but she's also happy as she's the type of woman that wouldn't let you know. You could see it on her face, but she wouldn't tell you what was bothering her.
When Jason Cummings is answering these questions, he did let police know that it wasn't uncommon for Jolene to sometimes disappear without explanation.
But I was like, look, you need to get it together. You know, this right here is the reason why I left her, because she would disappear for a few days. She started doing her little Houdini acts, and I thought she was just seeing somebody else.
Jason Cummings let police know that he had an alibi for the day that Jolene went missing. He was with the kids, and he had his parents that he was around who could verify that.
And where did you go with that when you left there? Kids ate, we all ate. Granny and Papa, while they were getting ready for church, me and the kids went out there in their room before us, you know.
The dad of Jolene's two youngest kids then steers investigators in a completely different direction, mentioning somebody else close to his ex-wife.
He said, if you're gonna look at anybody, you need to look at this new guy she's dating. He's not a good guy.
She's hanging out with these bad dudes, bad crowd.
Now, the Dolly Parton song comes to mind when I hear Jolene. Did that have any impact on your naming her?
Yeah, it was because of that song.
Jolene, Jolene, Jolene.
Dolly Parton's song is J-O-L-E-N-E. And I found the J-O-L-E-E-N, which meant pretty. That fit her because when she was born, she had the eyes of green and her hair was auburn.
Skin and eyes of emerald green.
Urgent search for a missing mother in Nassau County.
Our Julia Janae is live at the state attorney's office.
At the time of Jolene Cummings' disappearance, I was an investigative reporter for First Coast News, the ABC affiliate there in Jacksonville.
The mother of Jolene Cummings, who said she's heartbroken.
We will continue to search for Jolene. We have searched for her utilizing all of our resources, including canines, horses, and boats.
People are talking about it like crazy. They're asking questions. They're wanting answers.
So days go by, nothing. What are you thinking?
It was the most horrible time of my life. I was searching, friends were searching, my husband was searching with me.
Constant alerts on the news and that she was being searched for. People were asked to keep an eye out for Jolene's vehicle.
Those with any information about where Cummings is urged to call the Nassau County Sheriff's Office.
What did you think?
I just stopped. I was frozen. I didn't know what to think.
And I thought that this is not my Jolene. This has to be somebody else. And then I went online to look it up, and sure enough, it was her picture, and I just had a sinking feeling.
Now, detectives are ready to interview their very first person of interest, and that would be Jolene's ex-husband, Jason Cummings. These two had a volatile relationship.
What do you think happened to Jolene? Me personally, I hope that she's not going to be found, and now she's got all this attention on her, she's probably scared. Is that your hope, or is that your thought? What is my hope?
But while he's in the hot seat, Cummings tells Detective Harrington that he should be looking at another Jason in Jolene's life.
I just know his first name's Jason. I've never met him. I got text messages from other people saying he's bad news.
When I asked him about, why he was so concerned about this person, he just said that he had a criminal history. He was very concerned about Jolene, and more specifically, being around a type of person like that.
I'm hoping she'll pop up any minute and say, hey, I'm here. I hope we're spending a lot of time for, no reason. She's hanging out with these bad dudes, bad crowd. She shouldn't be doing this crap.
After police completed their questioning,
I appreciate it.
Jason Cummings was able to leave the Nassau County Sheriff's Office.
After checking out Jason Cummings' alibis, he was cleared of any wrongdoing. The next person of interest that we wanted to look at is her current boyfriend, who she had broken up with, Jason G.
When Jolene had gone missing, I had heard that she had had a boyfriend who was not the best of news.
It sounds like while she might have been bright and airy, she had trouble with figuring out men.
She did. She had been married and divorced. A boyfriend, I believe he's had kind of some trouble with the law.
A record.
Mm-hmm. Yes. Yeah.
Jolene also liked the underdog. Irrelevant what their past was.
Jolene wanted to fix people, and I think that's really why she dated him.
Jason G had a outstanding warrant from Nassau County. As a matter of fact, it was a felony warrant for a violation of probation, and he was wanted by the Nassau County Sheriff's Office.
But he wasn't a stranger to law enforcement.
He had previously had arrests for drug offenses, for domestic.
Jason G was in fact convicted of several drug offenses, but not that alleged domestic violence charge. That was dropped.
There was a report also with Jolene and Jason G getting into an altercation, a domestic violence situation at their home a couple days prior to this.
Jason G had come over to the house and had wanted to spend the night with Jolene. Jolene was concerned it would cause problems with her divorce. Jason G got very angry to the point that he started destroying items in the house.
For investigators, Jolene's allegations explain all that physical damage they saw inside her home.
Next on their list, police are really eager to talk to Jason G, but he is nowhere to be found.
We had a difficult time. We looked, it took a little while to track Jason G down. It appeared from, trying to check his cell phone that he was only turning it on occasionally when he needed to, and that he was turning it off so that he couldn't be tracked. I don't think he was staying in one location very long.
He didn't have a means of transportation, so we knew he was probably in the Hilliard area. However, his parents lived in Jacksonville on the north side.
With all that, we did get a warrant to try to locate him by pinging his phone. He was found hiding under a bunch of cardboard boxes in a bedroom. So it was very, very suspicious to us. You know, he was a prime suspect when we did the interview.
When the interrogation of Jason G. starts, it begins with the detective keeping his tone pretty calm, his demeanor pretty calm.
Can we go just kind of back to the beginning and tell me, how you guys got together, where you met?
That's a little over a year ago. We went to school together and didn't never know each other, but I went over to the party and we just got together and just clicked.
But now cops are ready to take off the kid gloves. The temperature inside of that interrogation room heats up.
You're hiding out.
I just found out about Jolene being missing yesterday. Honestly, though, I would never hurt her.
But it's time up for Jason G. Detectives see something that makes them wonder whether he had gone one step too far.
You got some scratches on your wrist and everything.
To me, they looked a lot like fingernail scratches, which really, really concerned me.
This is your opportunity here to clear your name, and you're acting like a jackass.
So things aren't looking so good for Jason G. But then, a new piece of evidence emerges that just deepens this mystery.
We want to know, who is that figure that walks across in the darkness?
Mother of three, Jolene Cummings, has seemingly vanished from her North Florida town, setting off alarm bells within the small community.
The hairdresser community was really just completely in shock. Watching Jolene's disappearance play out on TV, it was stressful.
She never showed up to pick up her kids yesterday on Mother's Day.
Cummings was last seen leaving work at the Tangles Hair Salon on Saturday around 5 p.m.
Florida's Nassau County Sheriff's investigators are racing against the clock to figure out what happened to the hairdresser. Remember, they've got her ex-boyfriend Jason G. under arrest in an unrelated case, and he's being interrogated.
When we find Jason G. and he's brought in for the interview, I mean, we're really looking at him as, this is probably our suspect.
You always want to give someone the benefit of a doubt just because of their history, but with everything involved, it just seemed like a pretty good suspect to look at the time.
Do me a favor, let me hold your hands up like this.
He had marks on his hands and his arms. To me, they looked a lot like fingernail scratches, which really, really concerned me.
You got some scratches on your wrist and everything. Tell me about those.
Dog I play with at the house.
They are really looking closely to see, could this have been a struggle with a person?
I got one there from the dental branches at my dad's that happened like a week ago.
Detective Harrington asks about that alleged domestic violence incident and the disturbing scene at Jolene's home.
He stated that the last time he saw Jolene was when he was at the house and the altercation occurred.
And I went over there to see what was in the house. There was some cabinets broken, there was some holes and stuff. Did that happen that night?
I had slammed the cabinet shut when we was arguing.
And what about there was some holes in the door?
She actually took a hammer to the door. And we were arguing. That was 4 or 5 months ago.
During the interrogation, Jason G. tells the detectives that he lost his phone. Now that's a red flag for detectives. They're thinking, oh, come on, who doesn't have their phone with them all the time these days?
Well, it's time for you to come clean and tell us what you did with it.
I didn't do nothing with it.
Then where's your phone?
It's at my cousin's or my dad's. Where I've been at.
Which one is it?
Jason G has an answer for why he doesn't have his cell phone, because he's actually been trying to run from police and doesn't want them to ping his phone because of that outstanding parole violation warrant.
I told you, the reason I was I didn't want to come to jail. Ever since I've had this warrant, I've had my battery taken out of my phone. I've had nothing to do with this. I've been fucking honest with y'all. I told y'all can call my cousin and my dad, they will tell you where I've been at the past 3 days.
Jason G says that he has an alibi for where he was, and not just for the day that Jolene went missing, but the entire weekend.
He had stated he was having a barbecue down in North Jacksonville.
I went to sleep, I slept till about 10 or 11. We went back over there and hung out the rest of the day. They stayed there till Sunday. I went home Sunday night.
Maybe Jason G. does come across as volatile, a little rough around the edges. But Detective Harrington notices that when G talks about Jolene, he's calmer. His voice softens.
I wouldn't hurt her. I wouldn't cause any harm or any discomfort to her. Well, I texted her later that night and tried to get hold of her. Then I texted her Sunday morning and told her Happy Mother's Day and Happy birthday.
I gotta tell you, I'm not buying on what you tell me.
I know you ain't believing that. I said, but I'm telling you the truth, man. That had nothing to do with Jolene being missing. I love her. I miss her. I want her to be okay.
He no way convinced me after the interview that he was innocent, but in the back of my mind, I did think he seemed like he really was concerned about Jolene's well-being and whereabouts.
Police take more pictures and then book G on the probation violation charge, but he's still only a suspect in Jolene's disappearance.
In the Nassau County Sheriff's Office, they take the approach of getting the public involved. They start putting out the flyers with her picture on it.
Press release was stating that Jolene Cummings was missing. It also described her vehicle, a gold tan in color Ford Expedition with a tag number.
It was sent out to local news media. We just want to saturate the area.
Now at 11, a renewed push in the search for a missing local mother.
The Nassau County Sheriff's Department put out a Facebook post asking anyone with information about her whereabouts.
Investigators have put out a BOLO. Now that's cop speak for be on the lookout for. And guess what? One observant tipster calls in to say he thinks that he's seen an SUV just like Jolene's sitting in a local Home Depot parking lot.
The day after we put the BOLO out, I got a call from a citizen that thought he had seen it here in the parking lot. We responded here immediately and did determine by both tag and VIN that it was indeed Jolene's vehicle. One of the first things I noticed was that the driver's door was unlocked. All the other doors were locked. Just looking at it from outside, I didn't notice anything obvious. I didn't notice any blood, any damage. Once we located the vehicle outside the Home Depot, I instructed several detectives to start canvassing the area to see if there was any video surveillance.
There is a ViStar credit union that I had worked off duty at. I knew that their cameras faced in that direction.
That credit union surveillance camera captures investigative gold and leads to the second big break in the case.
When we looked at the camera angles, we determined that shortly after 1 a.m. on Sunday morning, the vehicle comes up the approach road off of State Road 200 from the direction of the salon and is immediately pulled into the parking area. You cannot see who's driving it at that point in time, and then you can see a figure emerge and walk across the screen towards the right.
Everyone is hoping that it's Jolene getting out of that car. Then, a minute later, a figure is visible in the doorway of a nearby convenience store.
It was kind of like that hair on the back of my neck stand-up moment because I was like, this is who I'm looking for.
Hairdresser and mom Jolene Cummings has been missing for 3 days now, and Florida's Nassau County Sheriff's detectives are working several leads. One of them is Jolene's ex-boyfriend, Jason G., who tells police he's got an alibi. He says he was at a barbecue all weekend.
Jason told us where he had been and who he had been with, but his story checked out. He ultimately was cleared.
Now that Jolene's former boyfriend and her ex-husband are cleared, they're out of the picture, police are laser focused on that Home Depot parking lot footage. It's the shadowy image, a person emerging from the area near Jolene's SUV.
We want to know who is that figure that walks across in the darkness.
Once Jolene's vehicle is discovered, police look through it to see if there are any clues as to her whereabouts.
Breaking developments in the case of a missing Nassau County mother last seen on Saturday when she left her job at a hair salon. Today, her vehicle found in the parking lot of a Home Depot.
Earlier that day, investigators visited Jolene's workplace, Tangle Salon, where one of her co-workers, they've been told, was the last person to see Jolene the night before Mother's Day.
You always want to know, in a missing persons case, the last person to see the victim, and that was an individual, a coworker by the name of Jennifer Seibert.
Jennifer Seibert had been working at the Tangles hair salon for a couple of months. Jennifer Seibert did come with this air of mystery.
And they didn't have a whole lot of background information on her other than what was on her application.
What did you know of her?
I didn't know anything of her. She was just a newcomer.
Now, the very moment that investigators arrive at the salon to ask questions, Jennifer Seibert pulls up into the parking lot for her shift. But then, she does something rather suspicious.
When Miss Seibert learned that there was a detective there at the business, she immediately leaves the parking lot and does not come back and go to work.
At that moment, we're thinking, why would she not want to tell us anything about her coworker?
Yeah.
Why would she
honestly,
leave?
at the time, I think it was more of a red flag to you than me. It was kind of a red flag, but she kind of was like, that's really, really strange.
Jennifer Seibert even tells her boss to not bother to keep her check there, that she should just mail it to a forwarding address.
Seibert also sends a text with an explanation for why she bolted. She claims she was fearful of an ex-partner. She even writes, "My ex is terrible. When it comes to him, I fear for my life."
Jennifer Seibert was not eager to speak to us and left a long, rambling telephone message telling us why she wanted to help, but she couldn't be a part of this investigation, basically because her life was in danger.
From the moment that police see the vehicle of Jolene Cummings parked in that parking lot, they are canvassing the area. They really want to know who got out of that car when it was parked.
Once we observed the surveillance video of the person exiting, we could tell which direction they walked in. The only place that would have probably been open at that time would have been this convenience store. The first camera that I picked the person up on would have been here, and you could see them walk around the building just as I did. Then they walk down, and they actually stop here for a minute and address the clerk that's standing outside on a break, and then they go ahead and enter the building.
The video from inside the convenience store is a big break. Who is it that walks in?
When I saw that, it was kind of like that hair on the back of my neck stand-up moment, because I was like, this is who I'm looking for.
The person who walks through the front door is Jennifer Seibert.
And she's dressed in all black, she's got on combat boots, and she seems really chatty with the attendant while she's there.
I conducted an interview with a store employee who was working there as well. There was a female that came into the store the other night, right here.
Yes, she said something about how she was out with a couple of friends drinking. When I tried to go back inside to go back to working, she wanted me to stay around.
He said that she was acting as if she was nervous or scared about something. She asked him to call a taxi cab for her.
We were able to capture a video so that it actually shows the taxi cab pull up. It pulls into a spot just over here in front of the store. You could see her enter the vehicle in the front passenger seat, and you could see the cab pull away.
We were able to not only determine who the cab driver was, but interview him. What do you recall about that person?
She was dressed in like a black workout outfit. She had black hair, had it up in a bun on her hood. She didn't appear to have a purse or anything on her.
What stood out to me and the cab driver was that Jennifer Seibert had stated that she had been out with friends that didn't have enough money for gas, but yet she had prepaid for the cab ride on a credit card.
I found that kind of odd, because if a person's prepaying $20 on a credit card, they should be able to give somebody $5 worth of gas and get a ride.
The location that the cab driver was asked to take Jennifer Seibert was of interest to detectives because it wasn't exactly where she worked, the Tangle Salon, but it was in the same shopping center.
He dropped her off by a small black vehicle, which we knew that was what Jennifer Seibert owned and drove every day to work.
At that point in time, our number one priority is to find Jennifer Seibert, who is now purposely evading us.
But there's just one major problem. Police can't find Seibert. The address on her Tangles job application isn't even real.
I went to that location, and what I discovered is that it is a non-existent address. It's a fake address. This is the fake address that Jennifer Seibert has given in her application for employment. Just nothing here. There's no residences, nothing. And it became apparent to me that this was something amiss.
Where is Jennifer Seibert? Investigators race to find her. Will they also find Jolene?
Cummings has not been seen since Mother's Day weekend, and investigative reporter Julia Janae joins us now with more. Julia?
Heather, that video that was released shows the missing SUV of Cummings being driven what appears to be Jennifer Seibert.
So once they look at that video, who walks through the doors of Gate gas station but Jennifer Seibert? And she's dressed in all black.
But so far, police have had no luck tracking down the mysterious woman. Small hair salons are known to be warm, friendly places. But at Tangles in northern Florida, the newest employee, Jennifer Seibert, didn't exactly fit in.
Everyone would talk with each other. It was just a very cozy, friendly environment to be in.
So all the hairdressers seemed to get along. And then all of a sudden, there was a new woman.
So I never really got to know her well. She was kind of standoffish.
Within a few weeks of Jennifer being there, they started to notice things that they thought were off about Jennifer, just the way she acted. She could never really give an address of where she lived.
Jolene had a lot of concern about Jennifer Seibert's background. I did an interview with Ashley Nunley, who Jolene had styled her hair the day before she went missing.
She goes, because there's something just weird. Jolene says she started wearing wigs when she first started. Jolene says she was going to look up her name and figure out what the heck was going on with her.
Knowing Jolene, she's not going to leave something alone until she gets an answer that she can believe.
It turns out the questions about Jennifer Seibert's background, her behavior, also dogged her at a previous beauty salon where she worked in nearby Yulee.
She definitely had extremes in behavior. She would be so upbeat, or if she was mad, it was almost like seething mad. If she would get mad at a client, I would see her sit there and grip the back of the chair and like white knuckle it.
My stylists were complaining that they did not want to work with her. I did find a reason to fire her. She had all her stuff packed, leaving. So I followed her out the front door and asked her for the keys back, and she took them off her key ring and she threw them at me. That was 3 o'clock in the afternoon. 9 o'clock at night, she was still sitting in her car in the parking lot. That was a little bit creepy, and I actually did make sure that no one was following me home. She didn't follow me home.
The last known place that Jolene Cummings had been seen was Tangles Hair Salon. We made a determination, we need to go back to the salon.
To the naked eye, there wasn't a whole lot out of place.
Traditionally, Jolene Cummings sat in the break room at the very back by the bathroom. I was looking with my flashlight at the edge of the sink, which was perfectly clean, and as I looked down, I saw what looked to me to be a dilute blood ring.
So we had our crime scene unit go back and do a forensic examination of the entire salon with what's called either blue star or luminol, which creates a chemical reaction with blood, and it will fluoresce or glow. Basically, the whole salon lit up. There was blood everywhere that was obviously had been cleaned up. You could see mop marks on the floor in blood.
Now the police have this disturbing discovery of the blood spatter inside of the salon. The search for Jennifer Seibert, it becomes much more urgent.
She basically went to number one on the radar that we got to find out where she is. We did have a phone number for her that was provided on her application, so we started pinging that phone. Started looking at like beach areas where they had the showers, rest stops, different places where somebody who might not have a permanent place to live might be.
On Wednesday, we got an updated ping that said that she was in a rest area in St. Johns County, roughly 35 miles south, closer to St. Augustine.
6 detectives and myself and the 2 FBI agents went to the northbound rest stop in St. Johns County.
The rest area was under construction, and it was just confusion. Dark, semis roaring around.
When I came to the rest area on the northbound side, I saw a black Kia Soul sitting between 2 semi-trucks. I called another detective and told him, hey, I believe this is Jennifer Seibert's car.
There was exhaust vapor coming out of the tailpipe of the vehicle, so I knew it was running.
I was a little worried about approaching the vehicle because I didn't know who was in the vehicle, if they had a weapon.
I had my flashlight. I then observed an individual who was laying down in the back of the vehicle get up and slither through the 2 front seats and drop into the driver's seat. I remember repeatedly stating, do not put the vehicle in drive. She had her driver's license ready. It was Jennifer Seibert.
Once Jennifer got out of the vehicle, I identified myself to her and told her that I was investigating Jolene's disappearance. She reiterated to me that she had no idea where Jolene was at. At that point in time, I asked her, I said, you've never been in her vehicle, you have no reason to drive her vehicle? And she answered no. I knew that she was lying to me because I had her on surveillance video parking Jolene's vehicle near the Home Depot in Yulee.
Detective Harrington is heading out to a local judge's home. He's got to get an arrest warrant for grand theft auto for Jolene's SUV. But somebody has to keep an eye on Jennifer Seibert to make sure she does not bolt.
My captain informed me, he says, I want you to keep her occupied. You are not to interrogate her, just talk to her.
Well, where would you shower?
At the gym. I'm gonna take a break from body pump and just stick with the cycle classes for a while.
And the curious thing to me was she never once asked, what is this about? She never once asked, am I free to leave?
And mosquitoes a problem at rest areas?
Oh my goodness. When a mosquito bites me, it just takes probably almost an entire month for that one mosquito bite to heal.
But it's not mosquito bites on Seibert's face that are getting the attention of detectives.
She had claw marks on her face, she had band-aids on her face. It looked like to me that she had been in one hell of a fight.
Back at the station, she appears oddly relaxed and in a good mood when she's talking to officers, not the suspect of this intense missing person search.
She was very open, communicative, actually laughing, joking.
Those hurting you?
No, they feel great. You can put them on tighter if you want. Whatever you want to do.
But nobody could have guessed what would turn up in Seibert's background and just how entangled her past was.
It was bigger than I imagined.
It was like flipping a switch.
This is a woman who was reported missing by her own mother decades before this happened in 2004.
I had 2 IDs at the time. I had myself and then my other ID.
And once detectives start digging into the background of this woman, they discover she's not at all who she claims to be on a number of levels. In fact, she had been using up to 18 different aliases and had lived in over 30 cities.
No one had any idea how truly just unhinged that she was.
And there's more surveillance video of Jennifer Seibert, but will it reveal the fate of missing hairstylist Jolene Cummings?
Do you think it was a conspiracy or a lone gunman?
To me, it's a much bigger story than the Kennedy murder.
Is this mystery ever going to get solved?
Who killed JFK? Monday night on ABC.
This was the most bizarre.
Very diabolic. Truly unhinged.
Watching Jolene's disappearance play out on TV was stressful.
Missing mother in Nassau County.
Jolene Cummings was dangerously close to discovering that Jennifer Seibert was not Jennifer Seibert.
Jolene said there's something going on with her. I'm gonna find out.
She had stolen the dead child's information and created a false identity.
She took that name out of the cemetery.
She had 17 different names. She lived in 14 states.
How do you even wrap your mind around that?
She was an angel one second and then getting in a fight with somebody the next.
Definitely not a normal thing for a person to go and buy a carving knife in the evening of a random Friday night.
My God, what is she up to?
You think she's done this before?
There is no doubt in my mind.
She's saying that she's Kimberly Kessler, but how do we know what the truth is?
Well, it was her birthday and it was Mother's Day. And I wanted her to be reminded that she was my special blessing on a Mother's Day, a gift that no other could compete. And then text her that Saturday and, hey, did you get the angel?
And that was the last text. Ann Johnson's daughter, 34-year-old Jolene Cummings, has been missing for 4 days now, and police have found no sign of the hairstylist. They've questioned and cleared both her ex-husband and former boyfriend in her disappearance.
Crime scene detectives went to Tango Salon to look a little closer.
You could see that there had been a struggle and smears of blood all over the salon.
Now we know there must have been a big fight in that salon.
You always want to know, in a missing persons case, the last person to see the victim, and that was a coworker by the name of Jennifer Seibert.
Jennifer Seibert became the focus of the investigation after she was spotted on surveillance footage, abandoning Jolene's vehicle in a parking lot and then walking into a convenience store to call for a taxi. Detectives managed to track her down and arrest her.
The charge you were arrested on is a grand theft auto charge. You knew that, correct?
Yes.
You're not charged with anything else, okay? But something happened to Jolene.
Right out of the gate, Jennifer Seibert sits down in this interrogation room and she drops this mind twister on detectives. She tells them that her name isn't actually Jennifer Seibert.
My fingerprints, they come up as Kimberly Lee Kessler, so I would prefer to be called Kim. The last time I got picked up was back in 1999 and I bonded out.
So you've actually kind of got you've got a history under that name?
I'm ready to go back to being myself. Kimberly Lee Kessler. It's
Okay.
kind of a silly middle name, isn't it? It's like my mom stuttered.
So right now we were taking in who is Kimberly Kessler at this point.
50 years old. Looks are deceiving.
You have any children?
I do. I have a son. That's what got me running in 1999. Child Protective Services snatched him while I was at work from the babysitter, and that really sent me over the edge.
Then there's this next shocking moment where she tells detectives that she dated someone who was wanted by the FBI.
He robbed banks. I was working as a topless dancer, and he was with me whenever he called somebody and they said, the FBI is looking for you. And he's like, oh my God. And then he tells me everything. Oh, I robbed these banks. So I'm like, you what? And I hid him in my apartment, and that was like kind of almost the beginning.
She loved to brag about her past, and she was very proud of that.
She had been running for the past 20, 25 years and didn't want to be found.
It's a bombshell, but is it true? Are you okay if I ask my crime analyst to run the name?
Do it, please. You'll see my mug. I'll look a lot younger then. And thinner, too. I won't be 200 pounds.
Well, it's unusual when someone that is a person of interest is just joking around, acting like nothing's wrong, nothing's going on. And
during the interview, I kind of wanted to let her talk as much as she wanted to, but at some point in time, I knew I had to ask her about Jolene. Did you guys ever hang out after work? Did you ever go anywhere together? No. She ever allowed you to use your car?
No.
Her demeanor changed. She became evasive.
You accused me the other night of, you're like, where's Jolene at? So, and I do not know where she is.
I think you know where Jolene is. We're going to find out what happened. You can help me do that.
No, I cannot. Whatever fury may come. So let me reply this way, and you may not like the answer. I would like legal counsel.
With Jennifer Seibert now refusing to talk, it's up to investigators to determine fact from fiction.
Who is she really? I mean, she's saying that she's Kimberly Kessler, but how do we know what the truth is? I mean, she's obviously very complex.
When they researched her background, they found out she was actually someone who had been reported as a missing person decades before, in 2004, by her own mother in Butler, Pennsylvania.
So detectives call Connie Kessler, who they believe to be Kimberly's mother, hoping to learn more.
We do have someone that is claiming to be Kimberly Kessler, and that is your daughter, is that correct?
Yeah.
Okay.
The last time I heard from her was in 2004, and it was on an answering machine. She'd been having trouble with her boss, and then there was no way to get back in touch with her, so all I could do is wait.
Detectives are quickly discovering that the woman they have in custody, claiming to be Kimberly Kessler, has used a host of different aliases over the years, seemingly random names. But Connie Kessler adds yet another twist to this increasingly strange story, explaining how her daughter had allegedly picked one of those names.
She went to visit her dad at a cemetery. She picked a name off from a little girl that died near her father.
Do you know the name she picked?
Yeah, it was Pamela Jean Cleaver.
She could be anybody. So we conducted a DNA test.
The FBI actually took a DNA at a Kimberly Kessler's mother's home, and it came back that it was a match, that she was Kimberly Kessler.
Well, if that's the case, then who exactly is Jennifer Seibert? And once again, Detective Rose discovers there was an absolutely chilling answer to that question.
Found a little girl named Jennifer Seibert who was 13 years old, who had been killed in a car accident in Germany. However, she was buried in Butler, Pennsylvania. And then NCIS confirmed the social security number of Jennifer Seibert. And that's when we realized
She had stolen the dead child's information and created a false identity.
The night when I told her you're under arrest for grand theft auto, she almost smiled as if to say, is that all?
Police are just scratching the surface in their search for a missing mom, and now they're about to dig up a tangled tale of chaos beyond what they could have ever imagined.
I saw something about stabbing you in the leg. Can you tell me about that?
In hindsight, I should have ran.
With Jolene Cummings still missing, police are learning more about the woman they've got in custody. Turns out her name isn't Jennifer Seibert, it's actually Kimberly Kessler. And the more they unravel, the more complicated her past becomes.
Come to find out she had 17 different names. She lived in 14 states. Very unusual for someone to have that track record and is not running from something.
During the next couple weeks, I conducted several audio interviews.
We had to try to figure out who we actually had in our jail. So we're just trying to get whatever information we can.
We discovered a husband. She had been married. When I spoke to him, he said, I met her in Arizona. She was stripping during that time.
Well, I can tell you she's a master of disguises. She wears a lot of wigs and changes her look a lot.
You know, she did wear a lot of wigs.
Did she?
She is very exotic.
He knew her as Melissa McKernan.
So I have Melissa tattooed across my chest.
So he was kind of shocked whenever we told him, hey, you know, this is not Melissa McKernan. Her true name is Kimberly Kessler.
Oh, hell no. I was like, he don't even have a real name on his chest.
But going back to the 1980s, Kimberly Kessler was just this small town girl living in Butler County, Pennsylvania.
Kimmy, you know, that's what they called her. Short-haired, tomboy, cute little young lady.
So you did know her?
I guess she knew me. She was good friends with a cousin of mine. The girls would all ride horses and not together. I've met her a few times through the girls. I guess she had like a little schoolgirl crush on me or something.
She has a past with other people from high school.
Kim was a year behind me in high school. I was class of 85, she was class of 86. She was a cheerleader, you know.
Tom Sims hadn't seen her for years while he'd been in the Army, and then one day their paths crossed again.
I stopped in the bar to have a beer, and she was working. She was blonde and fit and beautiful, and we went out for drinks, and yeah.
They eventually end up dating and living together.
Can you tell me some more about her?
She's got a handful.
She wasn't a friendly person, always scheming. She was an angel one second, and then getting in a fight with somebody the next.
Was that a normal thing for her, like acting out and being violent?
Yeah.
One of her moods got me with a steak knife.
I saw something about stabbing you in the leg.
No, she stabbed me in the chest. She bit my dad in the leg.
She bit your dad in the leg?
Yes.
She attacked him, bit him on the leg. Oh, you should have seen it. It was a huge bite mark.
It was the day after she hit me with the iron piece off the gas stove.
She grabbed off, you know, the burner and hit me upside the head with it. I think she already had her escape planned because she was gone after that. Gone.
Tom Sims says police came to the house for each violent incident: when Kessler stabbed him, when she bit his father, when she struck him with that iron grill. But he never pressed charges against her.
I probably should have. Young and naive.
But about a year later in 1990, Kessler was back, and she wants to catch up. Sims would later tell police about a troubling conversation that he says he had with her.
We had a cat. His name was Malcolm. That cat and I were very attached. She's the greatest cat in the world. I asked her, "Where's my cat?" And she's like, "Well, I couldn't take him with me, so I had to kill him."
Did she say how she did that?
She shot him with a shotgun.
I saw no empathy. I was absolutely sick to my stomach. And then she disappeared again.
Kessler has never responded to those allegations, but while Sims only knew her as Kimberly Kessler, there are plenty of others who knew her by entirely different names, including Sergeant Jim Walters back in Virginia Beach in 1999.
I knew it wasn't Christina Brooks that I was talking to, but that was the name she gave me.
It was a very bizarre situation in Virginia Beach. She lived with the father of her child, and a neighbor saw her digging in the yard with the kid in the hole, and she said it was a grave that she was digging, and she was acting very bizarrely. So the neighbor called the Child Welfare Services, and they came and took the child.
On August the 3rd, 1999, I received a call that there was a disorderly, suspicious person at social services, and we spoke real quickly, and I asked her to leave.
That's when we followed Christina Brooks out and stopped her on the other side of the bus stop.
Sergeant Walters says he's never forgotten what he says he discovered in her purse.
A Smith & Wesson .357 Magnum, a taser, and a roll of duct tape. We call it a kidnap kit.
Sergeant Walters arrests Christina Brooks for carrying a concealed weapon without a permit.
Found out later that she was released on her recognizance, and of course, gone. It gave me chills. My God, what is she up to?
Turns out she was up to a lot. Remember that childhood friend, David Trempis? By 2018, he was living in San Antonio when he says he got a message on Facebook from a woman in Florida.
I got a friend request from Mia Stone, and I accepted it.
She told David Trempis that She wanted to help him out. He was kind of going through a custody battle with his child.
She's real persistent. I told her, well, if I ever come down to Florida, I'd meet you. And the very next day, bam, she was here. She just got there overnight. That was kind of freaky in itself. I said, I'll meet you at the Whataburger in town. She come walking up, and she had that big black curly wig on, and it was, down over her eyes, and, it was just out of place. And she had a scar on her face.
David Trumpets tell police that Mia Stone claims she got the scar when her ex-husband tried to run her over. And now she wanted to move to Texas and marry Trumpets.
Well, she wanted to move in with me. That's why she was up here. And I just kind of played it cool and said, it was great to meet you. And then, well, I got the hell out of there. It's time to go.
About a week later, Jolene Cummings goes missing. Not long after, Trempis says he got a call from the sheriff's office in Florida asking if he knew a woman named Mia Stone.
She also goes by the name, there's like 18 names, Mia Stone, Jennifer Seibert. Her true name is Kimberly Kessler.
That girl's name is really Kim Kessler?
Yes, sir.
She never let on to that. Her real name was Kim Kessler.
So investigators are left to wonder, had Jolene figured out Kessler's grand deception?
No one had any idea how truly evil she was.
And had Kessler retaliated by doing the unthinkable? When Jennifer Seibert first arrived in Fernandina Beach in 2018, no one had a clue about her trail of chaos and red flags over the years.
Let me tell you what, Jolene was very inquisitive, very intuitive, and when she said someone's fake, it's like, you're putting on an act, or you're not who you say you are.
So was Jolene on the verge of discovering the real story about the woman now known as Kimberly Kessler?
I believe 100% that Jolene was going to check to see who she was.
Investigators uncovered text messages Jolene had sent about the new employee, suggesting there was something off about her that she couldn't quite put her finger on. Did you get a vibe between the two of them when she was in the salon?
Yeah, Kimberly was kind of standoffish, and there was definitely some tension between them.
Well, the theory is that Jolene Cummings was dangerously close to discovering, number one, that Jennifer Seibert was not Jennifer Seibert, and number two, who she might really be.
Towards the end, it had gotten contentious to the point that they would yell at one another in front of clients. And there had been a fight in particular where the argument ended and Jolene looked at her client and said, there's something going on with her. I'm gonna find out.
I think that pushed Kim Kessler, Jennifer Seibert over the edge.
Just stand up and bend over a little bit for me.
With Kessler in custody, detectives begin searching her phone.
Her phone was definitely an insight into where her mind was, leading up to the moment that Jolene went missing. Jolene goes missing on May 12th. We see Kimberly Kessler's search history starts to shift from recipes and stores and the normal things to how long does it take for a body to decay? How to hide the evidence of a crime.
It was very weird what she was searching. No body, no crime. How to dismember a body.
No one had any idea how truly evil she was, how truly unhinged that she was.
We're here in the alley behind Tangle's Hair Salon, or what used to be Tangle's Hair Salon. This was the back door to the salon.
And it's in that alley where detectives find another huge clue.
We have video surveillance from two different sources, and the dumpster behind us is visible in several of those videos.
The surveillance video shows Kimberly Kessler taking numerous large trash bags that are pretty full and pretty heavy based on the way that she's got to swing them into the dumpster behind the salon.
Her duties were not to carry out the trash, which was picked up Monday mornings. So it was unusual that after hours she would still be here.
Once detectives start piecing things together from inside of the Tangle salon and looking at the alley outside, they start to develop a theory that Jolene Cummings may have been dismembered and discarded in that very dumpster.
They processed the whole place, and there was so much blood there that nobody was going to survive that.
Investigators scan that surveillance tape, hoping for more clues, and boy, did they get one. They see Kessler driving by Tangles as though she's checking to see if the dumpsters had been emptied.
We discovered that the local waste company had actually picked up the dumpster for disposal. And at this point, she no longer drove by.
Police learned that the contents were taken to a landfill in Georgia, about 25 miles away from Nassau County.
The FBI took the lead on actually searching the landfill.
The FBI Jacksonville team's been working around the clock in support.
This landfill is absolutely enormous. We knew it was going to be a needle in a haystack, but we knew we had to try to search and see what evidence, or if Jolene herself was in that dump. It was 117 degrees, so it was miserable, but had to be done.
It was gut-wrenching. I mean, I was in tears to know that you could be thrown away like trash when you were an amazing person.
But after nearly a week of combing through the landfill in scorching temperatures every day with no positive results, law enforcement called off the search.
Sheriff Leeper, he didn't have to say anything. His face said it all. It was a face of disappointment, of grief that we didn't find her.
Inside, this had to just be your worst nightmare.
It's a nightmare that no parent, no one that has a loved one should ever have to endure. The not knowing was the worst.
Despite not having a body or finding the remains of Jolene Cummings, the state attorney's office decides they are going forward with charges of murder against Kimberly Kessler, along with grand theft auto.
At the point that I'm coming into the case, I am focused on justice for Jolene.
With prosecutors now preparing to try Kimberly Kessler for first-degree murder, she's going to undergo yet another transformation.
Jordan Beard is Jolene Cummings' cousin.
And with behavior like that, is she actually fit to stand trial for Jolene's murder?
Kimberly Kessler has been charged with the murder of Jolene Cummings. And while she's being held, let's just say she isn't exactly a model inmate.
So Jennifer Seibert was brought here, and she's booked and held in this area. What was she like as an inmate?
She was hateful, mean. She did not like us. She would do the craziest things. She actually ripped her smock off and completely got naked, started smearing feces all over herself, and it just went from there. She then decided it was a great idea to throw it at us. So we were in there dunking, diving, trying to get away from it.
At a point in time during her incarceration, she began a hunger strike, went from 170 pounds to down around 80 pounds.
But her bizarre behavior didn't stop there.
Jordan Beard is Jolene Cummings' cousin.
At pretrial hearings, Kessler would disrupt the proceedings, yelling about her representation, yelling about her treatment in jail.
Jordan Beard is Jolene Cummings' cousin.
Her contention was that one of her defense attorneys was cousins with Jolene Cummings.
Jordan Beard is Jolene's cousin.
But Judge James H. Daniel rules that this is false.
There was no relationship between Jordan Beard and Jolene Cummings or anyone in Jolene Cummings' family.
Kimberly Kessler now has to watch the proceedings on a video feed from jail. And because of all that seemingly unhinged behavior, she's declared mentally incompetent to stand trial.
We had the hearing to determine whether she was mentally competent to proceed to a trial. And we presented evidence to show that she was delusional, she was mentally ill.
Kimberly Kessler had a lot of strange tendencies, and prosecutors did not believe it. They felt that she was putting on an act in order to avoid having to face the charges against her.
But I actually went over there one day while she's not eating, and I wanted to talk to her, and I determined right then that she was putting on an act, trying to let everybody think she's crazy.
As time goes by, more hearings are held to make a determination as to whether Kimberly Kessler is competent to stand trial.
A judge is now weighing whether murder suspect Kimberly Kessler is mentally competent and whether she'll need to be force-fed.
At these hearings for competency, there was a psychiatrist who testified as to whether or not Kimberly Kessler could be a part of her defense and ultimately be competent to stand trial.
And you have found Ms. Kessler intelligent and strategic. Some of the things that she does are very intentional.
What I mean is that her behavior is something that is thought out and organized.
Even Kessler's jailers were brought to the stand to say that they believed she was completely rational.
Was Ms. Kessler capable of communicating her thoughts and her needs to you?
Yes, ma'am.
A high-profile murder suspect is competent to stand trial. That's according to doctors at a Florida hospital.
I felt like she was choosing to do this for whatever reason, and it was not the product of some mental health disorder.
Finally, after 3 long years, Jolene Cummings' family is in the courtroom, about to get their chance at justice.
Kimberly Kessler, a former co-worker of missing Nassau County mother Jolene Cummings, is charged with first-degree premeditated murder.
The trial was very much anticipated. Jolene's mother was very popular. She knew a lot of people, and a lot of people supported her. And it was a very tragic and traumatic situation for her. And the news covered it pretty relentlessly.
Just as this trial begins, it's almost immediate that Kimberly Kessler starts having her typical outbursts in the courtroom.
I refuse the public defender's office. They appointed Jordan Beard, Jolene Cummings' cousin, as my public defender. They appointed Jolene Cummings' cousin as my public defender. What, you don't want the public to know that?
She will be downstairs as she's been through the proceedings thus far.
There are critical stages in a proceeding where the defendant has to be present. Trial would be certainly one of them. However, it's also my job to make sure that the state has the ability to prosecute a case.
The judge decides to excuse Kimberly Kessler from the proceedings, and now there's the opportunity for the state to actually get started with their opening statement.
The following evidence will establish premeditation beyond a reasonable doubt. Premeditation that the defendant planned Jolene Cummings' death. But as Jolene Cummings made plans for the next day of her life, the defendant had planned Jolene's death.
Prosecutors are about to present the heart of what they insist is a pre-planned murder case. Video of a shopping trip, and what Kessler is buying will chill you to the bone.
Live at the Nassau County Courthouse, Janice, Cummings' body was never found, but the state still plans to try and prove that case.
The prosecution begins laying out their case, and it relies heavily on circumstantial evidence and surveillance video.
CSU used luminol to find evidence of the defendant's cleanup of Jolene Cummings' blood. The luminol will flow blue to indicate the presence of blood. You will see evidence of blood from the stylist chair mat nearest the reception desk, through the salon, to the restroom near the back door.
Prosecutors argue that after spending hours cleaning the bloody crime scene, Kimberly Kessler, known at the time as Jennifer Seibert, went to Walmart to buy a set of items that paint a truly macabre picture.
The Walmart video and receipt, which are evidence that at 8:57 p.m., the defendant used her credit card.
There is an overhead shot of Jennifer Seibert in this dark shirt, her hair pulled up into this bun. And what's most interesting is that you can see specifically what Jennifer Seibert is scanning. She's scanning a large bottle of ammonia. She's scanning rubber gloves. She's scanning a large box of outdoor style trash bags. And she's scanning an electric carving knife.
This is not Thanksgiving. What is she buying this knife for? And I'm like, oh my God, she dismembered her.
Prosecutors say that this evidence ties into what they found behind the Tangles salon.
What are we looking at here?
That is Kimberly Kessler. She was not for the thing.
In my opinion, Jolene was dismembered in that salon. Her body was then disposed of through trash bags, through different things that Kimberly Kessler ended up throwing in a dumpster.
Prosecutors allege that there was this blue storage bin. And inside of that bin, there was even more crucial evidence.
Later on, she can be seen taking a blue Rubbermaid out. Ultimately, that tub was found by detectives, and inside of that was Jolene's blood as well as a fingernail.
Why would Kessler kill Jolene? Well, prosecutors believe it was because Jolene was on to Kessler's games. In fact, a Tangles employee took the stand with some telling testimony, what she heard on the day of the murder.
Do you remember Jolene Cummings telling the defendant, "You're fake"?
You fake, yes. I remember told her you fake, go away. I like you.
Jennifer Seibert didn't want to be found out as Kimberly Kessler. That's what it appeared, based on the timing of the comment that Jolene made and when this murder happens.
But the defense insists there is no evidence of premeditation in this case, and that's what's required for a first-degree murder conviction.
I certainly submit to you that is evidence of conflict, of violent conflict. But what the state is not offering, what they have absolutely no proof of, are the questions that you need to decide this case. Who started the fight?
There's nothing to counter the theory that this had been a mutual combat, a fight. I mean, a physical fight between two women that ended up in one of the women dying. And that's just not first-degree murder.
The prosecution believed that they had, beyond a reasonable doubt, enough evidence to prove that this was first-degree murder.
We can see from her words, her internet searches, she had spent at least a couple of weeks somewhere premeditating the death of Jolene Cummings. From her internet searches, it's obvious that she intended to kill her. That's all the evidence you need to find the defendant's premeditation beyond a reasonable doubt.
With closing arguments done, Kimberly Kessler's fate rests in the hands of the jury.
Breaking at noon, the jury has been dismissed to begin deliberations in the murder trial of Kimberly Kessler.
It had been about 2 hours, maybe 2.5 hours, and we got a call that said the jury's back with a verdict.
All right. Everybody, please have a seat. Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen. Madam Clerk, please publish the verdicts.
And order versus Kimberly Kessler, aka Jennifer Marie Seibert. Verdict count 1, first-degree murder. We, the jury, found the defendant guilty of first-degree murder as charged in the indictment.
I think Anne was relieved. It brought her some closure. It was an emotional moment.
It's been a long 3 years. We miss Jolene every second of the day.
Jolene's family feels they finally found justice. But with Kimberly Kessler's trail of deception and mayhem, police have a lingering question. Could there be more victims out there?
I believe she's running from something.
It's a tale of two women, Jolene Cummings, hairdresser and mom, who disappeared on Mother's Day, never to be found, and Kimberly Kessler, also a mom, who spent years crafting multiple identities and was convicted of murdering Jolene. Now, Kessler is about to be sentenced.
Jordan Beard is Jolene Cummings' cousin.
And like so many times at trial, Kimberly Kessler disrupts the proceedings and is taken out of the courtroom. Before handing down his sentence, the judge hears a victim impact statement from Jolene's mom, Ann Johnson.
When my precious daughter was murdered, others died. Our family has struggled to make some sort of semblance of life ever since.
This court will adjudicate Kimberly Kessler, defendant, also known as Jennifer Marie Stiver, guilty, sentence her to life in prison.
She's also sentenced to 5 years for grand theft auto of Jolene's vehicle, which she'll serve concurrently.
Kimberly Kessler leaving the Nassau County Jail in this white van. A deputy was seen doing a rock-on hand gesture before her departure Friday morning.
We're going to celebrate. We're going to celebrate her homegoing, because her new home for the rest of her life and until she takes her last breath is going to be Florida State Prison.
What was it like for all of you when she finally was transferred after her guilty verdict?
Oh my goodness. We were so happy that she was gone. She ended up getting shipped out to prison quite quickly afterwards. We did celebrate. We had a cake. There's a picture of us.
Are you relieved that this chapter's over?
Absolutely. I'd never want to have to deal with that woman again.
With all of the strange happenings that seem to surround Kimberly Kessler, there's this notion among some that is there some other unsolved case out there?
With the information that we obtained, the number of aliases, the number of cities, the number of states, I believe she's running from something.
That's going to be law enforcement's job, to follow up and to see if there were other people that could have been victimized by Kimberly Kessler. There could always be a new connection to something that wasn't seen before.
Remember Sergeant Jim Walters, who knew Kessler as Christina Brooke back in Virginia Beach? He recently handed over information about her to cold case investigators there.
I told the deputy chief the information that I had on Kimberly Kessler, and he said, I've got 4 or 5 unsolved homicides around that area, around that time. The cold case squad would be really interested in this information.
As investigators keep an eye out for other cases that could possibly be linked to Kessler, Jolene's mom, Ann Johnson, is focused on her daughter's memory. Will you continue to want to search for Jolene?
Oh, I'll always have the hope to search for Jolene.
Occasionally we will get calls for unidentified remains. And anytime we get that kind of call, I always have hopes that maybe it might be her.
What is the world missing not having her in it?
She was beautiful inside and out. And again, she was first and foremost a mom. And she was a great, great friend, great listener.
How do you want her to be remembered?
As the bright, shining star that she was.
Lord, guide us in these next few moments. In Jesus' name.
I had a private ceremony. It was a beautiful, small service.
Even with no remains to bury, Jolene's loved ones remember her to the tune of Amazing Grace.
Amazing grace, how sweet the sound.
There was music at the gravesite. There was a headstone. And then my grandson asked me, Emma, why is there a headstone when Mama's not there? I said, this marks that your mother lived here on earth, that she needs to be remembered. And who knows, God's will, maybe we'll have something to put there. It's the only thing we have to live for, right? It's the hope. Without hope, what do we have?
Jolene's mom, Ann, telling me, David, that she hasn't given up on the hope of possibly finding her daughter's remains with the hope of having a true burial after all these years.
Let's hope for her. Kimberly Kessler has filed 2 appeals since her murder conviction. Both were denied. Her life sentence carries no possibility of parole. That is our program for tonight. Thanks for watching. I'm David Muir.
And I'm Deborah Roberts. From all of us at 2020 and ABC News, good night.
An all-new 2020 starts right now.
Sheriff's office. I do smell something.
This was a slaughter. Make no mistake about it. And what did you find when you got inside?
All right, I got her feet right here. This is weird, dude. First thing I noticed was the rose petals everywhere.
Something I've never seen before. I definitely thought that whoever killed her brought those flowers in.
Now, the stunning court case making big headlines.
It's the last time you talked to your sister. And then she was gone.
She's got a young daughter that's 9.
So you had to tell her that her mother was dead. And her response was, who did it?
I have great fear for my daughter's safety. Why do you think I left the country?
There's been a custody battle.
Where were you when Christina was murdered?
Italy.
But at this point, I'm getting worried about where we are. I really don't know if I want to comment more if this is what I think it is.
Rarely do you ever have a murder where you get to see the bad guy walk through the front door.
This isn't your typical murder that you see.
When I walked in, there was a smell like a pesticide smell.
The whole thing seems surreal.
Sheriff's office.
I saw like a flower rose tore up.
Absolutely impossible.
It makes utterly no sense.
Many of us just were shocked and amazed about the capacity of someone to cause such destruction.
This was the manifestation of hate.
We've come here to this quiet suburban street in South Carolina to cover one of the strangest crime stories we've ever come across. It's a story of love, betrayal, classical music, murder, a crime scene strewn with rose petals. And it all began at this house on an October morning in 2021 with a 911 call.
Grayson County 911, what's the address of your emergency?
Canebrake Drive. I think I might have a death. Walked into my fiance's house. She wouldn't answer my call. There's a very weird smell, and I can't get her to come around.
The man making the call is 65-year-old Bradley Post, a local retired engineer. His 41-year-old fiance is inside the house.
And he basically said he had found her and he needed help. He needed an ambulance. He needed law enforcement.
I said to her, if I ever, what should I do?
Is she breathing?
No.
And we're going to start CPR, sir.
Okay, I think she's gone.
You think she's gone?
Yeah, because somebody might have shot in the back. I don't know.
Like somebody has shot her? Okay, all right.
No.
And tell me why you think she's dead.
So she won't respond. She got her eyes open.
Eyes are open? All right.
There's a lot of blood.
And a lot of blood. Okay.
Yeah.
And so they dispatched law enforcement immediately, ambulances. And so he just continued to give as much information as he could to 911.
So it looks like somebody may have broke in and shot her in the head.
Maybe. I don't know.
Okay, I understand. Okay.
Over here now.
I'm sorry, say it again.
Get somebody here now.
I've got some people coming, sir. I have everybody coming. I'm sending the paramedics to help now. Step out of the house, and that way wait for the paramedics and the police at the front of the house and leave everything as you found it.
Master Deputy Chris Robinson rushes to the scene. He's the first to arrive.
And then when law enforcement arrived, Bradley Post is standing in the driveway of the house. So he talks to Deputy Chris Robinson with his body camera on.
Hey, man.
So when you pulled up, was he just like standing there waiting for you?
Yes, ma'am. He was just kind of standing to the side over here, just waiting. He was on the phone with someone. How'd you get in the house?
You got to come home right now. Emergency. Come home. Just come home.
We just started talking briefly about what was going on inside. Basic info about when's the last time you saw her and the last time you talked to her.
She went for a job interview. Okay. She left and came back. I called her, texted
Today?
her twice. Yeah, just from like 9 o'clock. I got her on a tracker.
Yeah.
She didn't respond, so I went to the door, no response, so the back door is always unlocked.
Okay.
So I walked around the back door. When I walked in, there was a smell, like a pesticide smell.
Yeah.
And I walked in, and I didn't see anything on. I saw like a flower rose tore up, and then I walked in the living room, and she's laying there on her back. There is a lot of blood.
Okay. Do you live here?
No.
You stay here occasionally?
I stay, yeah.
Okay.
I'm with her most days.
All right, do me a favor, just stand right here.
You went in the back.
You want to help me clear it real quick?
And what did you find when you got inside?
So I went in with another deputy. We started clearing. Sheriff's office. I do smell something. All right, you see what we got? There's a smell in here. All right, you want to hold right, and I'll clear this on the left. We didn't know who was inside. I barely see, and I could see her feet at that point, so I kind of knew what was going on. All right, I got her feet right here in front of me. Continued clearing, made it up to her, saw that there was no signs of life. We kept moving and cleared the rest of the house. Yes, ma'am, we're clearing the house now.
Just to make sure there's no one in the house.
Correct. Pushing in. Sheriff's office. Take one, I'll take the other. Sheriff's office. I've been doing this 15 years, and it was pretty gruesome.
And what could you see happened?
First thing I noticed was the rose petals everywhere. I thought that was kind of weird. They were just kind of all over the floor. In no particular, not a pattern, it was just kind of everywhere. This is weird, dude. There was also a chemical odor and just a lot of blood. A lot of blood.
Could you tell that it was a stabbing or a shooting or?
I couldn't tell at that point. Our protocol is not to really touch anything. If there's no signs of human life, I don't have to render aid. We try not to contaminate the scene.
Was there anything else about that room that seemed odd to you?
You could tell there was a struggle inside the house at some point. Looked like she was pulled by her ankles or moved somehow. Let's get out of here with that smell.
And then you came back outside?
Came back outside, kind of locked the house down so nobody in or out. Just lock it down. Definitely not a death odor.
Anyway, I gotta go, Tina. Get home as soon as you can. It's the owner of the house, her sister lives here. Okay. Is she dead?
As far as I can tell, I'm not EMS, man. So, and this is your girlfriend?
My fiance.
Okay. What's her name?
Christina Lorraine Parcell.
Christina Parcell, a single mother of one who police quickly discover has not been shot, but has been stabbed 35 times.
We learned that she was a vet tech and that she was engaged to be married to Bradley Post. And the other residents of there were her sister, Christina Parcell, and Christina Parcell's daughter.
Son of a... She got a young daughter that's 9.
Lead investigator Jared Sparkman arrives to the scene shortly after Deputy Robinson. When you pull up to the scene, what do you see?
There's a lot of deputies, investigators already here.
Describe to us this crime scene.
So it was very unique. First of all, you don't have many murders that are stabbings. You also see rose petals scattered around in the room where she's at. Something I've never seen before. I definitely thought that whoever killed her brought those flowers in.
People think of stabbings as really intimate, right? Did this seem like a fight, like this was a crime of passion?
That was something that crossed our mind, especially with the rose petals on the ground.
This was no ordinary murder because the nature of the crime was so close and personal, so brutal, that either somebody was really mad at this particular person or something went terribly wrong. Obviously, the first person that you want to talk to is the person that discovers the body. The fiancé of the person.
He's definitely someone that we want to talk to quickly.
What was he like?
Pompous. Always wanted to be the smartest person in the room or the richest person in the room, preferably both.
This 5-bedroom ranch house was home for veterinary technician Christina Parcell, her 9-year-old daughter, and her sister Tina, who says October 13, 2021 was a typical busy weekday morning.
It was just so exceedingly normal.
Not a day you would have thought anything of.
Never. I remember every bit of it now. She had a job interview that morning. She was trying to find a job with more hours, better pay.
Did you see her that morning as she was getting ready for it?
I'm finishing my morning coffee sitting on the couch. We talked just normal people things. What have you got going on today other than your interview? I've got a hair appointment. Then I think they had gymnastics that afternoon. Okay, have a great day. You too. Love you.
It's the last time you talked to your sister.
And then she was gone.
So Christina Parcell had a very quick interview at a local veterinarian clinic.
Hey, I'm Christina. Nice to meet you.
We actually have a video of the interview. It did not last very long.
And she texted me, she felt good, it went well. It was, talk me through your qualifications, et cetera, et cetera. Very short.
And then she drove back, and she returned back about 9:07. And we know that because she passes by a Ring camera 3 doors down, and we see her car pass by.
Meanwhile, Tina is at her office 20 minutes away.
I was at work, and my phone says, you have a voicemail. And it was post telling me there was an emergency at the house, and I needed to come home.
Tina, this is Brad. You need to call me quick. There's a problem with Christina at the house. Please call me now.
So I call him back, and he says, you have to get here. I think she's dead. I'm like, what happened? He's like, I don't know. I can't tell.
So you race home?
Absolutely race home. I get there about 11:30. They wouldn't tell me that she was actually dead for the first hour, maybe hour and a half.
It's a tragic end to a sibling relationship that survived ups and downs, beginning with an incredibly close bond.
She was younger, I was older.
2 years apart?
2 years and 4 days. Our birthdays were 4 days apart, so we would have birthday parties kind of around the same time. We were each other's best friends, basically, growing up. She was smart. She was quick-witted, and she was kind.
Her sister says Christina loved running and gifting friends with her professional-looking homemade chocolates. And she had ambitions for a new career.
She had gone back to school for nursing. She seemed exceptionally devoted to her daughter.
Christina Parcell shared custody with her ex-boyfriend, John Mello. 5 months before her death, she and her daughter had moved into Tina's home in Greer, a suburb 12 miles from the city of Greenville. Greenville, South Carolina is a city nestled in the foothills of the Blue Ridge Mountains. It's one of the fastest growing cities in the U.S. It's known for its southern charm, its tree-lined streets, and its vibrant art and music scene.
We're a medium-sized city. We have more cultural and artistic offerings than someone might expect to see in a city of this size. In theater, in dance, in the visual arts, in music. Classical music is very popular here in Greenville. As you walk down Main Street, you'll see street musicians.
Good things they come to those who wait. And you hear some of the best music you would hear anywhere in the world. It is a wonderful place to come and raise children. It's a very safe place.
The neighborhood where the murder occurred is usually considered a very safe neighborhood. It's a upper scale, low crime area.
And luckily we're able to solve the vast majority of our homicides. We have one of the highest clearance rates in the country.
But clearing the county's latest homicide could pose a challenge. Back at the house, police are scrubbing the crime scene for more details.
So one of the first things we do when we get there is secure the crime scene. Once it's secured, we call our forensics unit to come. With Christina, we collected her fingernails, we swabbed her hands, anywhere that DNA could have been left. Once her body is removed from the scene, we can really start searching that house for any clues and really kind of figure out what happened.
This was a slaughter. Make no mistake about it. 19 slices to the neck and face. That's personal.
Do you think she fought?
I hope like hell she fought.
Adding to the mystery, those scattered rose petals. Were there roses in the house before? Any idea where that came from?
No, I mean, it had to have been brought by the person that was in my home.
Leading to the question, who was that person in the home? Police first want to talk to Parcel's fiance, Bradley Post.
And I saw her sunglasses in the hallway, so
Yep.
it looks like she was surprised somehow.
Post is a retired engineer and business owner. He and Christina Parcel had been dating for 6 years.
He'd owned several businesses and sold them, retired. He's very wealthy. He drives fancy sports cars, lives in a big house.
What was he like?
Pompous. Always wanted to be the smartest person in the room or the richest person in the room, preferably both.
You didn't like him?
No. He's very particular. He likes things the way he likes them.
Did she seem happy?
Sometimes. She was becoming less and less happy with Post and less enamored with the thought of marrying him.
2 days after the murder, once the crime scene was released, Tina and Bradley Post do a walkthrough with police. What'd you think of him and his demeanor that day?
He was calm, you know, he wanted to be helpful.
Anything unusual?
I remember him putting on gloves. He had on gloves when he showed up. He just said he's just trying to be careful.
Seems strange to you?
You don't see that much.
Did you find that to be weird?
No, because he was a fastidious, persnickety man. Didn't surprise me at all that he didn't want to touch anything icky.
While Tina may have found Post off-putting, it's another man she thinks police need to investigate.
I can only think of one person in the world that I would instantly think of would have interest in seeing my sister murdered.
I'm telling you, person of interest will be John Mello.
John Mello.
In the aftermath of Christina Parcel's murder, it's her sister, Tina, who's left to tell her 9-year-old niece the tragic news. So you had to tell her that her mother was dead?
Mm-hmm. She wailed. And she was inconsolable sobbing. I told her there had been an accident. Mommy had been hurt very, very badly, and she died. She didn't make it. And her response was, who did it?
When police talked to Christina's fiance, Bradley Post, after the murder,
Tell me about this other dude.
he immediately brings up somebody he thinks should be a person of interest. So you asked him, do you know who would do this?
Right, yeah. So I was like, do you know anybody that would be like our suspect in this or anything like that?
I'm telling you, person of interest will be John Mello.
And then he did mention John Mello's name at that point.
There's been a custody battle.
And what did he say about John Mello?
It was her ex, and they were having some issues.
With that, we started looking into John Mello.
John Mello says he's a music producer. He met Christina in 2004. He was a 43-year-old married father of 2. She was 24.
I'm not, yes, now we're done.
Speed. Both cameras have it?
Yep.
Okay.
All good? So I guess let's start at the beginning. How did you come to meet Christina?
I met her at a cigar shop. We just became friends. She was, very intelligent, very, very beautiful, very fun, to be around. We just hit it off as people, in general.
Were you trying to have a relationship?
No, I was married. No, I just like talking to people. And throughout my life, most of my closest friends have been females. So it's just, I just, easier to look at. But no, not at all. It just kind of evolved later.
At what point did it become a romantic relationship?
I'd say 2009. You know, my marriage was not good, so it just happens.
Mello and Christina dated for the next 6 years.
So you had a discussion, decided you were going to try to have a baby?
Yes, yeah, planned it. No,
That's a little surprising to me because you were
It
married.
is to most people. Yeah, no, we planned her. She was born phenomenal, and things were pretty good at the beginning, you know, with all that.
But while things were going well with the new baby, by then, Christina had become estranged from her sister and the rest of her family.
Between April and May of 2010, my sister cut off ties with our whole immediate family. She sent a letter to my parents, addressed it to all of us. Dear Mama, Daddy, and Tina, I am severing the ties of discontent and unhappiness that have haunted my life. Leave me to my peace and my newfound life. Please do not visit my home, do not call or email, and most importantly, please do not worry. She had been with John for a year when she sent this. She was being increasingly cut off from the world around her.
So when you started to talk to her again, how did she explain that letter?
It's what John wanted.
The estrangement would last over 4 years.
When she came back to our family, I mean, we found out she had a daughter. My niece was more than 2 when I met her the first time.
By the time the child was 3 years old, relations between Mello and Christina were breaking down.
So at some point you guys end up in kind of a tough custody battle.
Yeah. Yes. She became very combative and very untrustworthy.
Child custody cases are always intense. I would say that this one is probably up there, really, like a 10 out of 10. This one is probably as intense as they ever get.
In 2016, Mello is granted sole custody. Christina, just visitation. In court documents, Mello describes what he calls her erratic behavior and lack of consistent visitation, while Christina says she's afraid of Mello and doesn't earn enough money to support her daughter.
She basically relinquished primary custody to John Mello.
In the years that follow, Mello repeatedly contacts law enforcement and the Department of Social Services about Christina, accusing her of prostitution, drug use, and even child sex abuse.
2018-ish, my daughter had come to me complaining about her mom and Brad Post. She said they made me sleep in the same bed with them and all these things. I was just like, this is not right. So I went to the Greenville County Sheriff's Department and I filed a complaint.
The investigators that handled those cases found no evidence to substantiate his claims. Law enforcement, DSS, couldn't verify any of the information.
In the course of their custody battle, Mello is arrested and charged with stalking, and then harassment, accused of repeatedly making unfounded accusations against Christina. Both charges are ultimately dismissed.
John Mello, I can tell you that a lot of people at the sheriff's office knew who he was, and he was just difficult to deal with. He would always make crazy allegations, and then when you wouldn't take him serious, he would get angry.
It's 2018 when attorney Maggie Bailey gets a visit from Christina.
She came into my office to ask about possibly representing her to help her get expanded visitation with her child. She wanted to have more overnights with the child and to be able to be a regular mother. We were successful and she obtained more visitation.
She would do her visit weekends in my apartment. I got specifically a 3-bedroom apartment so she and my niece could stay with me and we could spend time together, go to the pool, go to the playground.
She would tell me how much she enjoyed once her time got expanded, how wonderful it was to be able to have her child overnight and spend time with her.
But then, in October 2020, the custody fight takes another explosive and, for Christina, terrifying turn.
It was time for her visit weekend, and John said, "We won't be back in time. I'll call you when I know more."
His message reads, "We are out of the country, phone not working. Be advised we won't be able to fly back for Friday exchange. Sorry, more later."
She'd gone by John Mello's house, she'd tried to text him, she'd tried to email him, she'd tried to call him.
My sister reached out to the elementary school and found out John had withdrawn her from Greenville County School System.
She messages Mello, "Please tell me anything you can about where our daughter is. I'm scared."
She had no idea where John Mello and her daughter had gone. She was in tears because she was like, he's taken her, I don't know where he's gone, and I may never see my daughter again.
For Tina Parcell and John Mello, there's not much room for agreement, except on one thing: the strangeness of those red roses found at the crime scene.
It's just a hell of a lot of effort to create something so theatrical and intentional and rage-filled to send a message.
Tina even keeps an eye out for a special delivery at her sister's funeral.
I had the funeral home hold every flower delivery so I could inspect them to make sure no red roses were sent, because I fully expected some to be sent.
Why?
Because that would be a mean and cruel thing to do. And let's just be honest, mean and cruel kind of fits the whole bill for the situation.
For her, the roses add to her suspicion of John Mello. She tells investigators what happened a year earlier. In 2020, the custody battle between Christina Parcell and John Mello had become an outright war after he took off with their 8-year-old daughter. Christina has no idea where she is and frantically searches social media for clues.
She just poured over the internet looking for everything, doing all kinds of searches.
And then Mello emails Christina, "Please do not bother people about us," saying their daughter is doing great. She is happy and healthy. It's just a new setup, that's all. New rules.
Christina had no idea where her daughter or John was. She didn't know if they were in the United States or overseas.
The first clue that she got was a picture that he had posted, and it was in kind of like a courtyard. It's surrounded by buildings, and you could tell that on the building that it was in Italy. You know, she had to blow that picture up in order to try to figure out what the sign said.
John Mello took her child to Italy without any communication to Christina about their intentions. He and Christina's daughter moved to Italy permanently.
She was inconsolable. She couldn't sleep, she couldn't eat. She called county police, she called the FBI, she called the State Department.
Mello claims he took their daughter to Italy to protect her from her mother.
I have great fear for my daughter's safety, and I always have. So why do you think I left the country?
That's why you took her and you went to Italy, because you were scared for her.
Yes. I have watched her entire life, her mother be a horrific human being, provided evidence to everybody. And some people believe it, some people don't.
So when you went to Italy with your daughter, did you think that you were breaking any laws?
Absolutely not. I made certain that my custody order was written in such a way that there were no restrictions, that I do not have to have permission to leave, that the mother just has zero, absolutely no custody.
While Christina Parcell did not have full custody, she had visitation rights. She decided to attempt to get her child back through the Hague Convention.
So the Hague Convention governs international child custody disputes.
You went to Italy with your sister to get your niece.
She found out they had scheduled a hearing at essentially the equivalent of family court in Italy. And I asked her, "Do you want me to go with you?" And she said yes. So I instantly bought us 2 round-trip tickets.
This is video from their hotel room from the day before the hearing. Christina is on the bed.
She went to Italy twice. It was the second time that the authorities in Italy handed her daughter to her and told her to take her back to the United States.
The court rules that Mello violated Christina's custody rights, even if limited, and acted against their daughter's interest. It's a victory for Christina, 6 months after Mello took their daughter out of the country.
The family court in Venice, I'm not trying to sound the way it's going to sound, but they were all women. And her mom came and put on a very good show with the tears and the whole thing. And then they decided to let her go that night.
John Mello stays in Italy while Christina heads back to South Carolina with their daughter.
So when Christina came back from Italy with her daughter, she brought her into the office and she was just like all smiles.
This is literally the day after she got back. I took her to the playground.
But just 3 months after the joy of being reunited, Christina Parcell is blindsided again.
I walked into my office one morning and my paralegal was opening the mail and she goes, "Look at this picture," and it was a nude picture of Christina. It was really, I would call it a pornographic picture.
It's not just her attorney who has received the mailing.
The photos were sent to our house, Post's house, all of our neighbors, all of his neighbors, Christina's work, the guardian ad litem.
And Christina Parcell knew that the only person who had possession of these photos of her was John Mello. And they were taken when they were dating back in 2010 or 2011, when she was much younger. And there was also included in there a photocopy of an escort site. And it was claiming that Christina Parcell had been posting on an escort site as a prostitute looking for business.
None of the photos were connected to the escort site. They basically took a screenshot of an escort site and then copied and pasted the URL onto some private pictures that Christina and John had shared years ago.
These packages all came from Greenville or Tennessee. And so we knew the person who sent them out or who put them in the mailbox and prepared them had to be living in the Greenville area. John Mello was in Italy.
She said, "It has to be John." She said, "I just don't know who he would have gotten to send it."
John Mello says he didn't arrange for the mailings to be sent out.
Did you have those images mailed?
No, I did not. No, I had them from years back. And of course, my intention was when I get to the States in this custody case, judge needs to see her background. If you're in a custody case and you have photographic and internet evidence that the person in the custody case with you is prostituting online, you want the judge to see that. Yeah, I would absolutely was going to use that.
There was no evidence that suggested that Christina was a prostitute or drug dealer or escort.
2.5 months after the mailings were sent, Christina Parcell is murdered. But it turns out the man so many people seem to suspect could not have been the killer.
Where were you when Christina was murdered?
Italy. Yeah, I was in Italy.
Did you have anything to do with it?
No, of course not. No, it's not my style. You know what I mean? No.
We still were looking at Mr. Mello and people that he knew, but we did know that he's not the person that walked in the front door and killed Christina.
And then, a huge turning point in the case, thanks to a neighbor's Ring camera.
Rarely do you ever get to see the bad guy walk through the front door before he engages in a horrific murder.
And a shocking arrest, but it's not what you think.
We were dumbfounded.
Police are investigating Christina Parcell's murder. Her fiance, Bradley Post, tells them he's convinced John Mello, despite being in Italy, should be the prime suspect.
There's been a heavy custody battle. This guy's been he's a threatener, he's the thug.
Although authorities have their suspicions about Bradley Post himself, their investigation seems to be pointing away from him.
Bradley Post was extremely cooperative.
And when was the last time you spoke with her?
Hold on, I'll tell you exactly.
He said that he spoke with Christina that morning.
Last time I talked to her was 8:15 a.m. Outgoing call, 10 minutes. She was on her way to a job interview.
That they texted, and then he attempted to call her with no answer, which is the reason that he came to the house. And by looking at his phone, as well as Christina's phone, we were able to confirm that he was in fact telling the truth.
Because normally when she leaves somewhere, she'll send me a text or something on my way back. Right. And I didn't hear from her.
In addition, the way that he was dressed and the way he appeared in pristine condition freshly showered, in a sports coat, a white shirt, slacks, not somebody that had just committed a horrific murder.
Even though he expresses some nervousness, Post continues to work with police.
But at this point, I'm getting worried about where we are. I really don't know if I want to comment more. I want to help you, but if this is what I think it is,
that's fine.
But then investigators stumble upon what they claim is evidence of an entirely different crime.
Okay.
Bradley Post agreed to allow us to look at his phone. He signed a consent form, a waiver. He gave us his password. We weren't expecting to find anything, but while reviewing his phone, we found some material that resulted in him being arrested for criminal sexual conduct with a minor.
An upstate man facing several charges of sexual exploitation with a minor will remain behind bars.
Investigators say they found sexually explicit images of children in Post's possession.
According to court documents, Post had a high volume of child pornography on his phone and electronic devices. He has not yet entered a formal plea to those charges.
I was personally dumbfounded. I couldn't believe that he just handed over that evidence. For these alleged crimes, he could spend the rest of his life in prison.
So although Bradley Post is now facing some serious charges, police still don't think he's the person who killed Christina Parcell. And they now have a critical clue in the hunt for who did. As you start to go looking for evidence, what's the first thing that you do outside of the home?
Cameras.
Cameras.
Look for cameras, yeah.
So where were the first cameras that you found?
Well, the first camera was actually right here behind you. There's a Ring doorbell camera.
The camera is from the house directly across the street from where Christina Parcell lived. And so you get that camera. What do you see on that camera?
So that camera, it shows a person walking up the steps and going into the house.
We were extremely lucky. The Ring camera across the street was highly sensitive to cars driving by, and a white Ford Explorer drove by at the exact moment that the individual was walking up the stairs and through the front door of the house at exactly 9:15.
So if that vehicle hadn't driven by at that moment, you wouldn't have seen who walked in the house?
That's right.
We were able to enhance the video. You can actually see the gray sweatshirt, the black pants, the build of the individual, an individual walking up through the front door, getting ready to commit a horrific murder.
We continued canvassing the whole neighborhood and came across some cameras that showed someone wearing the same type clothing, same stature, leaving the area.
The next evidence we have of this individual is a Ring camera down the street, and it shows an individual on a black bike dressed in a black sweatshirt, black pants, with a N95 mask over their face, leaving on the bike at exactly 9:27.
We believe that the suspect was in that house for about 12 minutes.
Then at 9:28, we see the same individual passing a house in the exact same clothes on a black bike.
They were wearing dark clothes. It was a nice day that day. Long sleeves, pants, it's just odd. And it was our first real clue.
The Ring camera offers another important development. While investigators don't know who the mysterious man is, they are now confident of who it isn't.
After we found the cameras in the neighborhood, Bradley Post was ruled out. The build wasn't the same. It was pretty obvious that Bradley Post's stature does not match the stature of the person that went into that house.
We were able to determine that Bradley Post could not have committed this crime.
The next order of business, finding the man on the bike.
So finding the person on the bicycle was a tall order.
Turns out the man on the bike will not remain a mystery for long.
At the point you heard there was a suspect, were you surprised?
Police zero in on somebody you'd never expect. Will this finally explain the crime and those odd rose petals?
We had no suspects, and then with a click of a button, it's like, well, we just figured out who did it. Felt like I just won the lottery.
The rose petal case was just a wild ride. So many twists and turns.
The manifestation of hate wrought upon a physical body.
We still felt with the child custody dispute, there's motive.
Where Zach Hughes began inserting himself into this custody battle.
You don't think Zach is a killer?
There's just no way. The guy's heart is as big as the moon.
We started receiving calls that we had arrested the wrong person.
It makes utterly no sense.
And there is proof to that the state is hiding from you.
Instruct him to be quiet.
If there's no malice, there's no murder.
How is that not murder?
It was as close to a Matlock moment as you're gonna get.
Either you had some part of this, or you were caught in the craziest murder case that any of us have ever heard of.
Graceville County 911 was your emergency.
I just walked in, my fiance, and it looks like she's bled out on the floor.
Is she breathing?
No. I think she's gone. A lot of blood. There are flowers here. It looks like somebody must have come here.
After Christina Parcell is stabbed to death in the house she shares with her 9-year-old daughter and her sister Tina, investigators piece together camera footage from around their neighborhood that provides critical details about the person who did it.
The Ring camera across the street that caught the suspect going into the house was huge.
Our immediate suspects were Bradley Post, because he was Christina's fiance and found her deceased, and John Mello, because they had a previous relationship and had a child together. From the Ring and security camera footage in the neighborhood, we learned that our suspect appeared to be male, tall and slender with very good posture, and arrived on a bike.
It was pretty obvious that Bradley Post's stature does not match the stature of the person that went into that house. And John Mello was in Italy at the time, so we know he's not the person that walked into the door.
With Bradley Post and John Mello ruled out as the killer, investigators are working overtime to figure out who the man on the bike is.
We had been working, I don't even know how many hours a day. We had no suspects. Everywhere we were turning, we were just running into dead ends.
Given John Mello's solid alibi, investigators decide to dig a little deeper into his circle of friends and acquaintances.
We still felt like we need to talk to people that know him.
Why?
He's not the one that killed her, but from the information we had with the child custody dispute, we just felt like there's motive there.
We learned that an individual named Michael Manigault worked for John Mello and would clean his house.
So we found Mr. Manigault and we spoke with him.
Like Bradley Post, Michael Manigault does not match the Ring camera footage of the man recorded entering the Parcell house.
When we were able to blow up the footage, we were able to tell the person we were looking for was white. Mr. Manigault is African American.
But when investigators ask Manigault what he knows about Christina's death, he gives them a new name.
Tell me again how you heard about Christina.
A mutual friend of me and John, Zach Hughes, he said about a week and a half ago that Christina had been stabbed to death.
He goes on to tell us that Zach Hughes cleans John Mello's house with him.
Is this him?
Is this Zach? Yes, that's it.
At that point, we start looking into Zach Hughes, find out who he is.
Master Deputy Wolf, he did just a basic internet search. There's YouTube video of Zachary Hughes.
The videos are from a virtual concert series Hughes did with a local museum and posted on his YouTube channel.
Zach is a pretty extraordinary musician.
I noticed that he's a pianist, and there's a lot of articles about him and his accomplishments. I was very surprised. He had no criminal record. I couldn't even find a speeding ticket.
How does Zachary get around? You said an old truck or something?
Yeah, old truck. He picks me up on some.
Once I have his name, I can pull up every vehicle you have with your license plate within 10 minutes.
We're able to learn that he in fact owned a gold Ford truck.
Investigators discover a crucial clue not far from downtown Greenville. If you look up there, you'll see a camera. That's called a flock camera. It's an automated license plate reader that alerts law enforcement if a wanted vehicle is detected.
A little after 2 p.m. on the day of Christina's murder, there's a picture of his vehicle coming into the downtown area with a black bike in the bed of his truck.
And that bike matched the exact description of the bike that we had on the ring cameras of the individual leaving the Canebrake neighborhood.
The handlebars were the same, the brakes were in the exact same place, the frame was the same. Felt like I just won the lottery.
With all that information, we really honed in on Zachary Hughes as our main suspect.
We get a search warrant for Zach Hughes' residence where he's staying. When we all get there, it's almost like Zach was waiting on us. He comes out calm, puts his hands up, and he backs up towards my direction. I put handcuffs on him.
Anybody else in the house?
Yes, sir.
He never asked why we were there or what we were doing.
I set him in the back of Investigator Wolf's car, and he stayed there while we executed the search warrant.
We obviously want his cell phone. We're looking for the bicycle. We knew Christina Parcell had been stabbed, so we're looking for any objects that could have done that. They have a detached garage at this property, and then we were able to find the exact bike that is on the flock picture in the bed of his truck.
The bike had been washed or cleaned before we were able to locate it. It was in absolute pristine condition.
Investigators don't have enough yet to make an arrest, so they let Zach Hughes go, but not before obtaining a sample of his DNA.
Her fingernails were broken, which made us think she fought back. So we believed that DNA could possibly be under her fingernails of her killer.
While they wait for the DNA results, authorities are trying to determine just how close Zach Hughes and John Mello really are.
How did you come to know Zach?
I was walking with my daughter down Main Street, and we were just a couple of weeks away from moving full-time to Italy, and he was playing piano on the street. And so he finished, and he said hello to her, and she said hello, and she says, "Do you know Claire de Lune?" And he played Claire de Lune, and it was fantastic. And then days later, he was in a different location by Falls Park playing, and we chatted quite a while and exchanged contact information, and that was it. And then we left, not long after that.
Mello says that once he takes his daughter to Italy, he loses touch with Hughes for a few months. But after Christina Parcell wins her case to bring their daughter back to the United States, he says the two men reconnect.
I was unbelievably sad and distraught, and I reached out to him and I told him what was going on, because he was just like, "Oh my God, not your little girl."
You don't think Zach is a killer?
There's just no way. The guy's heart is as big as the moon, and what would his motive be?
Even while investigators are zeroing in on Hughes, prosecutor Walt Wilkins has the same question.
Why would Zach Hughes go kill somebody for John Mello? And if you do that for your friend, you must either be a really good friend or a really scary person.
Do you think I could talk him into doing something like that for free? Throwing his life down the toilet? At his age?
I don't know what to say about Zach. I love him. He's one of my best friends. Because I think he has the ability to become one of the greatest pianists of our century.
Zach Hughes. You know, a lot of people don't know who he is and kind of what his background is. How did he end up in Greenville?
He was born in California. When he was roughly 10, 11 years old, his family moved to Virginia on a small farm. They lived in Virginia until he was a teenager. Then they moved to the upstate of South Carolina. His parents could see an aptitude for music, so his dad bought him a piano at a yard sale for $300. And that's where he started. And over the course of his childhood, he just developed a passion for it, became very good at it.
Like when you say good at it, like
prodigy good?
He consistently did things that were very extraordinary. He begins to compete in very prestigious music festivals. He decided to apply for Juilliard and was accepted in 2010.
Juilliard is one of our most prestigious conservatories for musicians. To be received into the program suggests that a young artist is at the top of his or her game.
I met Zach in 2011 at Juilliard, and very quickly we decided to build some projects, and he started playing my music. I always felt Zach treating everyone with this equal, profound kindness. He was devoted to his friend, devoted to his parents, devoted to everyone he was meeting, basically. In 2013, Zach came to Paris especially to premiere my first sonata, which was called Sonata Mystica at the Oratoire du Louvre, which is a rather famous place in Paris. And it was a huge success.
As seen here in a video posted on YouTube, Zach Hughes graduates from Juilliard in 2015. He spends a season with the Knoxville Symphony Orchestra before eventually settling in Greenville, South Carolina, amid its thriving local arts and music scene.
We've always punched above our weight, artistically, you might say, here in Greenville. In 2020, someone had contacted me to tell me about this young pianist who was going to attempt a really ambitious project, playing all 32 of Beethoven's piano sonatas in the space of a year. He called his project the Beethoven Odyssey.
Zach Hughes posted videos of the Beethoven Odyssey on his YouTube channel.
He was playing them by heart, and that was very, very impressive.
Together, they span 600 pages and more than 11 hours of music. I thought, based on his YouTube videos, as well as seeing him perform live and in person, that here was a young man with a very bright future ahead of him as a musician.
During the COVID pandemic, Zachary Hughes could often be found here in downtown Greenville with his keyboard, sharing his Juilliard training and his love of Beethoven with the community.
He started off doing some concerts live, but then when COVID hit, he was doing some busking down in downtown Greenville. And one day, a man walked up to him and asked if he would take a request.
That man, of course, is John Mello, and this chance encounter is the start of their friendship.
It was a pretty strong friendship from what I understood.
It was in May of 2021. Zach actually goes to Italy to visit John Mello. What's that trip about?
Mello said, why don't you recharge your batteries and just come over and visit.
I go, come to Italy. I go, I got a recording. I could use you. So he came, and we rehearsed a lot and spent a lot of time together. He's just a really very well-educated, very articulate, very fun, kind person. And we just really hit it off.
Cemented by the time in Italy, their connection continues when Zach Hughes returns home to South Carolina.
Zach began doing yard work, just odds and ends around the house to help him out.
Had he ever met Christina?
Not once. How would he ever have an occasion to meet her?
But investigators are starting to believe that Zach Hughes did, in fact, meet Christina Parcell on at least one occasion. And they say they've now got the evidence to prove it.
The DNA results came back as Zach Hughes' DNA was under the fingernails of Christina Parcell. And so as a result, we were able to get a warrant for his arrest. And he makes the decision to turn himself in.
Typically, the people that we deal with for murders, they don't wear suits, they're not pianists. For us, this is just all very unusual.
He just sat there. He wasn't rude, but he just had no emotion.
And then after that, we took him to our detention center and booked him.
This man locked up tonight, charged with murder.
We We started receiving calls that we had arrested the wrong person.
And at a bond hearing for Zach Hughes, the courtroom is packed with supporters insisting that he's not capable of murder.
As a mother, I know him, and I have no doubt that Zach had any part of this.
We were convinced that we had the correct person and that he just made everybody believe he was something that he wasn't.
Ultimately, the judge denies Hughes' bond, and now it's up to the state of South Carolina to prove to a jury that this 29-year-old piano virtuoso is also a cold-blooded killer.
John Mello had a problem. He had a custody problem, and Zach Hughes solved the problem for him.
And prosecutors now think they have evidence implicating Mello in the murder.
There was a text exchange between you and Zach where you asked him, how's the music research going?
Right, yeah. On the day of the murder.
On the day of the murder.
It was two musicians discussing the music project.
So were the men discussing music or murder? Three years after Christina Parcells' murder, Zachary Hughes' trial begins. Family and friends pile in here to the Greenville County Courthouse to see if this accomplished musician might also be a killer.
We will now begin the trial. Stay.
The state intends to prove that Zachary Hughes did in fact murder Christina Parcells. Typically in opening statements, you want to lay out a little bit of a roadmap for the jury. Christina Parcells had been going through a very tremendous child custody dispute with John Mello. Zach Hughes began inserting himself into this custody battle at the behest of John Mello. And the evidence will show that Zach Hughes is a cold-blooded killer. Your Honor, the state calls Bradley Post.
One of the first witnesses to take the stand, clad in an orange jail jumpsuit, is Christina Parcells' fiancé, Bradley Post. Prosecutors want to ask him about that morning he found her dead.
Good afternoon, Mr. Post. Where do you currently reside?
Greenville County Detention Center.
Prior to the start of the trial, the judge ruled that jurors would not be allowed to hear that investigators had allegedly found a high volume of child pornography on Post's electronic devices, or that he was facing charges of sexual exploitation of a minor.
Child pornography is extremely prejudicial. I mean, nobody in America thinks that that's okay. But the purposes of us being there was to determine whether Zach Hughes murdered Christina Parcells. When you arrived, what did you do?
I went to the front door and rang the doorbell. She didn't answer. I walked in through the back door. I saw her on her back.
When you saw her on her back, was there a lot of blood around the room?
Yes.
The medical examiner testifies to just how violent the attack appeared to be.
What jumped out at you in your finding?
There were 35 sharp force injuries to Ms. Parcells. And then based on the appearances of the wounds, it is most consistent with the knife being used.
The chipped thumb fingernail, something that really stood out to me on scene.
Why does that stand out to you?
Broken fingernails can be a sign that the person tried to defend themselves.
Next, a court-appointed attorney for the child in the custody dispute takes the stand to address the conflict that prosecutors say is at the heart of this case.
What findings did you make as to the lengths that Mr. Mello would go to get custody?
He was very clear that there was nothing off limits. This was the worst case I've ever worked on as far as representing a child's interest.
At the time of the murder, remember, John Mello was still in Italy, and that, prosecutors say, is why Mello needed Zach Hughes.
When John Mello left for Italy, they began using WhatsApp to communicate with each other. After Christina Parcells was able to retrieve her child from Italy and returned back to the United States, and their communications increased by 10,000%.
When we downloaded Mr. Hughes' phone, we obtained over 1,700 WhatsApp messages between Mr. Hughes and John Mello.
But because Zach Hughes had deleted those encrypted WhatsApp messages before authorities got his phone, when they were able to retrieve them, they came back scrambled.
The longer ones, obviously, we couldn't make sense out of, but some of the shorter ones, you can determine what they said.
So you states 184. You recognize that?
Yes, sir. This is a message from John Mello. It says, harass of her 5142. We can the out. I believe he's providing Christina's phone number, which ends in 5142. He's saying harass out of her.
When I spoke to John Mello prior to Zach Hughes' trial, he told me about sending this message.
They had the text of me saying, to Zach, I got a private phone, her cell number, use it, harass whatever kind of thing. But his response was, no, I'm not going to get in trouble for you.
But prosecutors argue at trial, this is when John Mello convinced Zach Hughes to help him in that alleged campaign of harassment against Christina, sending those explicit photos from a supposed escort website.
We were reviewing the Gmails of John Mello and Zachary Hughes. And inside was an email that came from Mullen Investigations, which we believe to be John Mello, because we couldn't ever find Mullen Investigations, and included 2 of the photos of Christina Parcell in a state of undress that were found in those envelopes.
The most significant communication between the 2 men, prosecutors say, was their last WhatsApp message sent just hours after Christina Parcell was killed.
October 13th, 2021, that did research on music, how go. At 2:53 p.m., the message reads, phone over, tell you good, the owl. The question John Mello asked about how the music research was going, to me, I thought they were speaking in code for killing Christina.
There was a text exchange between you and Zach where you asked him, how's the music research going?
Right, yeah. On the day of the murder.
And some people think that could be code for how did the murder go?
Okay, yeah, I know that's what they're thinking. It was 2 musicians discussing the music project he was working on. It's simple as that. That's what it is.
The prosecutors have one more damning piece of evidence against Hughes to put before the jury.
The cherry on top was the DNA evidence. Zach Hughes had no business being in Christina Parcell's house that day. They had no prior relationship, and his DNA under her fingernails slammed the door on this case.
With the state's case laid out, it's now the defense's turn. And in a twist, they announce Zach Hughes will be taking the stand.
Please state your name for the record.
Zachary David Hughes.
And what he tells the jury catches prosecutors and just about everyone else in the courtroom off guard.
There is proof to that the state is hiding from you.
Your Honor, instruct him to be quiet.
Why did you feel like it was important for you to be there?
Part of me feels like by being there every day, every minute of this trial, maybe she got to be there too. Courtroom 8 got fuller and fuller as days went on.
So we're standing outside the courtroom right now. It has been quite a sight, to say the least.
State rest, Your Honor. Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. Now it's our turn. We are honored and privileged to be representing Zach.
Zach Hughes' defense team opens with a bombshell, announcing not only will Hughes take the stand, but he's prepared to confess to killing Christina Parcell.
Zach has been waiting for this opportunity. He's been waiting and wanting to tell you why. You're going to hear that this was done for a just cause.
We didn't know exactly what he was going to say and how he was going to do it and for what purpose.
Please state your name for the record.
Zachary David Hughes.
Hughes first describes how he met John Mello and learned the details of the contentious custody battle that Mello was in with Christina. He says Mello told him that he was worried for his daughter's safety, and in an attempt to help, Hughes admits he was the one who mailed those envelopes with the explicit pictures of Christina.
You sent multiple mailers beginning in June and going into July of 2021, is that correct?
Yes, I did. I wanted different people, such as the guardian ad litem, to have access to this information that clearly demonstrated that Christina Parcell was a danger to children and her own daughter.
I'm curious why the concern for this child, a child that he doesn't really know that well.
Well, he got to know the child somewhat. I think Zach is just naturally a caring person, just in general. Another point was Christina Parcell's fiance was a man named Brad Post. And Zach was convinced that Christina Parcell was going to allow him to harm her.
At the beginning of October 2021, did you conclude that you had to rescue and there was no other way?
Yes, I did. I had been wrestling with this since June, feeling that I needed to do something to save her, and yet feeling this incredible reluctance to do the one thing that I knew would save her because of how terrible I knew it would be to do it.
It's extremely rare for a defendant to get up there and admit to killing somebody in cold blood, almost as if he was doing something for the sake of humanity.
I had prayed like I'd never prayed before.
He testified it was something he just felt like he had to do to protect that child, but every fiber of his being was fighting him.
When you arrived at the house, what did you do?
I laid my bike down in the driveway. I took a bunch of roses, and I walked up to the door and I rang the doorbell.
According to Hughes, those roses found at the scene that caused so much speculation were nothing more than a ruse, and along with the flowers, he also had a gun.
A woman came to the front, so I told her that I had a delivery for Lutina Parcell, her sister. And she told me that Lutina wasn't home. So I handed her the roses, and I took the revolver out and I pointed it at her, and I told her to be quiet and to go back into the house. She began to try to fight back, and during this period of time, the roses had dropped and the petals and stems had scattered. So I pulled out the knife I was wearing, and it just kept striking her until finally we fell on the floor, and I stopped striking her when she stopped struggling.
Zach Hughes says that he knew he didn't have time to clean up all of the now scattered rose petals.
And I looked in a mirror before I left, and I saw that she had scratched my face in the struggle. And of course I realized that this could leave DNA. So I used the paint thinner to try to clean her hands.
I do smell something.
The paint thinner Hughes brought with him explains that odd smell the responding officer noticed.
That's true.
But even after his detailed testimony, Zach Hughes' defense attorneys insist that he is not guilty of murder.
Murder is defined in South Carolina as the killing of another with malice aforethought. Malice is defined as having a dark heart, a wicked and depraved heart. Zach did this without malice. If there's no malice, there's no murder.
He planned this. He had a gun and a knife. He basically lied to get into the home, and then he stabbed this woman. How is that not murder?
It's very important to understand the motive. The entire motive behind what he did was to save this child, period.
And the defense had argued that there were serious abuse allegations against Christina Parcell herself, and that jurors should hear them. The judge ruled those accusations were irrelevant and inadmissible, but that didn't stop Zach Hughes from repeatedly making them during his testimony.
As soon as I left the house, I felt the most enormous wave of relief wash over me, because I knew from that moment on to be safe from the sexual abuse that her mother was perpetrating on her. And there is proof to that the state is hiding from you.
Your Honor, instruct him to be quiet.
Okay, you need to stop talking.
That was his third sort of outburst, I believe, which I was able to strike from the record. We don't know the circumstances surrounding Christina Parcell and her child and their relationship with Brad Post. And as far as this case is concerned, it does not matter. Assuming it's all true, Christina Parcell doesn't deserve to die the way that she did.
Investigators say it's also important to note that nobody knew of the allegations against Bradley Post until his arrest after Christina Parcell's murder.
Zach had never met Christina. The only thing that Zach knew about Christina was what he got from John Mello.
We found no evidence that Zachary Hughes knew anything about Bradley Post's alleged behavior prior to the murder.
But Zach Hughes' testimony isn't over yet, and there's one more bombshell to come.
I was shocked and insulted.
It was as close to a Matlock moment as you're going to get.
In this Greenville County Courthouse, classical pianist Zach Hughes has a rapt audience as he takes jurors step by step through how he says he killed Christina Parcell.
Did you take Christina Parcell's life?
Yes.
He made me think he just rehearsed it all, which he is a performer. I felt like he was trying to put on a performance.
So I just kept striking.
And if a confession from the witness stand wasn't shocking enough, Hughes drops another bombshell, testifying that his friend and Christina Parcell's ex, John Mello, offered to pay him on 2 separate occasions to kill her.
He asked me, would I be willing to kill Christina Parcell for $10,000?
It was as close to a Matlock moment as you're going to get.
I told him, John, there's no amount of money that would ever tempt me to do something like this. The only way I would ever consider taking action like this is if I was absolutely convinced that his daughter was not only in danger, but that the only way to rescue her from that danger would be to take Christina Parcell's life.
We reached out to John Mello about these allegations right after Zach Hughes' testimony, and he told us, quote, "It never happened."
I was incredulous to the absurdity of his statements, that he is going to sit there and decide when somebody gets to live or somebody gets to die based on his own personal judgments. That is absolutely absurd.
Before he made the decision to do this, did he have any physical proof that this child was in harm's way?
So I would say he did. He knew it with the information he had received from John Mello, with the documents he had received.
Zach Hughes says he also had the chance to see Christina's daughter while he was visiting John Mello in Italy, and Mello spoke to her over Zoom.
He said that he could notice a profound change in her demeanor. The light went out of her eyes. So there were other things like that that corroborated what he believed.
Now, after a full day of testimony, it's the prosecutor's turn to question Zach Hughes.
This is the opportunity of a lifetime for a prosecutor. I have the ability to cross-examine a confessed murderer, but you have to understand the position that I was in. Zachary Hughes was stating things on his direct examination that he was ordered by the court not to say. The battle in his mind was telling this jury information that they had no business hearing. And so I came up with a strategic decision to ask one question. Mr. Hughes, when you dragged Christina Parcell across the floor of the front room where you killed her, did you drag her by her arm or by her ankle?
I don't remember for certain, but I think by the ankle.
That's all the questions I need to ask this, Your Honor. And I left Zach Hughes with the inability to say what he really wanted to say.
We are about to begin closing arguments.
He confessed to killing Christina Parcell, but that in and of itself does not make him guilty of murder. The state must prove beyond a reasonable doubt malice. That is the intent, the knowledge, the mental part of murder. Just because Zachary Hughes' heart is so cold and so dead that it can't be angry, that is not a defense. Vigilante justice is not allowed in this state. The evidence is absolutely overwhelming. I'm going to ask you to find Zach Hughes guilty.
The case is now in the hands of the jurors, one of whom was this man, David Collins.
He confessed to the crime of taking Christina's life. None of us could believe what we were hearing. I was actually wondering why we were in the courtroom and having a trial.
After less than 3 hours of deliberations, the jury returns with a verdict.
Your Honor, as to the charge of murder, we, the jury, find the defendant guilty.
I don't understand how you could stab someone 30 times and be in a struggle with them without malice in your heart. He was trying to play God, and he was trying to play the judge, and he was trying to play the executor.
Before sentencing, Zach Hughes' father speaks to the court.
Thank you, Your Honor, for the opportunity to speak a few words on my son's behalf. He has such a strong moral compass and a desire for the truth that sometimes he actually hurts himself. I love my son. I'm proud of my son. Thank you, Your Honor.
Zachary David Hughes, you're to be committed to the State Department of Corrections for life.
The question now, will John Mello be the next person charged in this case? Are you worried they're going to arrest you in connection with this murder?
Please state your name for the record.
Zachary David Hughes.
Zach Hughes' unexpected courtroom testimony has now put the spotlight back on John Mello, prompting investigators to take action.
We discussed all the evidence we had against John Mello already, and then with Mr. Hughes' new statements, we believed there was enough to move forward with charges.
John Mello is charged with solicitation to commit a felony and accessory before the fact of murder.
Based on the nature of these charges and the situation involved in this case, I am going to no bond you.
One of the people in attendance at tonight's bond court hearing was Christina Parcell's sister.
You did this to your family. Your child has to know that you did this.
When I sat down with John Mello before Zach Hughes' trial, I asked him about the allegations swirling around him that he was somehow involved in this murder. Are you worried they're going to arrest you in connection with this murder?
2 years I've been here, did everything, DNA, fingerprints, you know, they talked about the telephone and the messages and what, there's nothing there.
But either you had some part of this, or you were caught in the craziest murder case that any of us have ever heard of.
Yeah, yeah, that's it. I'm caught up in it. All I did was try to do the right thing.
Did you have anything at all to do with the murder of Christina Parcell?
No, absolutely not. No.
We reached out to John Mello's attorney, but he declined to answer our questions and says he looks forward to his day in court. Mello has not yet entered a formal plea to these charges. Do you think in some ways that Zach was manipulated by John Mello?
Zach is an extremely intelligent person. He's a very disciplined person. He's not going to be manipulated by a person.
There should be justice. People should be held accountable for their actions, for willfully, willingly, cruelly hurting people in this world, whether you know them or not, whether they're family or not, whether you love them or not.
My lasting impression of this case is it was tragic. It was a heinous crime. It didn't have to happen.
And at the center of this tragedy, an innocent little girl left without her mother. Christina's daughter has been temporarily placed with friends of John Mello upon his request, following a family court ruling. Her aunt Tina is currently fighting for custody of her.
Your niece. What do you want for her?
The same thing I've always wanted for her. My job is for her to be safe, healthy, and happy, specifically in that order. She deserves better than this.
Remembering her sister tonight and with hopes for her niece. And we should also note tonight that Zach Hughes has now appealed his conviction.
And David, as for John Mello and Bradley Post, both men remain in jail awaiting trials. That's our program for tonight. Thanks so much for watching. I'm Deborah Roberts.
And I'm David Muir from all of us here at 2020 and ABC News. Good night.
All right, guys, thank you very much for coming today. I have called you for a very special thing. We have an event day after tomorrow, and Khushi, you will make the necessary arrangements. Khushi.
Yeah, sure, sir.
You seem a bit off today.
Everything is good, sir. Don't worry, I will do.
All right, I am counting on you. All the very best.
कल राती रोइयां मैं तेरे करके सुनिया है तू भी रोया मेरे करके कुड़ियां च लड़ा मैं भी तेरे करके मुंडियां च अड़े तू भी मेरे करके मैं ना प्यार करा मैं ना प्यार करा क्यों नखरे दे दिखावे इन्ना ना सताया कर मैं तू मेरी जान निकल ना जावे मैं जद भी कुछ बोला तेरा नाम बुलाते आवे ना 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 पुछदी मैं तेनू मैनू सच सच दसी वे एक भी ना गल वे तू दिल विच रखी वे दुनिया नहीं चाहती वे तेरा मेरा प्यार वे सुन मेरी सुन ले यार वे नहीं सोना लगदा है जदों जदों भी लड़दा है जद भी किसे ना गल करा मैनू पता वेख के सड़दा है राज राज तू हर वारी राज तू हर वारी लारे लावे इन्ना ना सताया कर मैं तू मेरी जान निकल ना जावे मैं जद भी कुछ बोला तेरा नाम बुलाते आवे सारा दिन बिजी रहना है तू यारां दे नाल बहना है तेरी दूरी ते मजबूरी दिल मेरा ए सहंदा ए किथे जावां ना जावां हर एक गल मैं पुछदी आ मैनू कदे मनाउंदा नहीं तू मैं किन्ना रुसदी आ मैनू चंगा लगदा ए भावें सिर मेरा तू खावे इन्ना ना सताया कर मैनू
अभी अभी आपने हमारा दुनिया सॉन्ग देखा, सो प्लीज कमेंट करके बताना कि आपको सॉन्ग कैसा लगा।
एंड हाँ, वीडियो को लाइक करना, जाने से पहले रिपल म्यूजिक स्टूडियोज के चैनल को सब्सक्राइब कर लेना। थैंक यू, बाय बाय एवरीवन।